Good evening. Today is Thursday, September 25th, 2025. This is the Education Committee meeting. My name is Nicole Khan, and I will be facilitating this evening. I just wanted to say welcome back and happy fall. I know we're 4 weeks into the school year, but this is actually the first Education Committee of the school year. We have not met since last May. Obviously, just because we didn't meet the last few months, the work has clearly not stopped, and I know administration has been full force over the summer, hiring, doing everything they need to prepare for the beginning of the new school year. Tonight's agenda is pretty full, so for those of you that are here and those that are parents and community members that are here, so bear with us. I just want to remind all my board colleagues that it'd be great to have an efficient, respectful, and productive meeting this evening. If we could just wait to be recognized before you speak, so those that are listening at home can follow along, that would be great. At this time, I will turn it over to, roll call, yes, roll call. Starting to my right with name and roll.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yotapari School Board.
Matthew McCarthy, Tech Integration.
Tracy Osecki, School Board.
Bob Hickey, School Board.
Ann Horner, School Board.
Joe Hidalgo, School Board.
Al Liberman, Director of Special Services. Al Funk, Director of Secondary Education.
Nicole Crawford, Director of Elementary Education.
Andy Shanko, Superintendent.
Ray Mangle, Director of Communications.
Michael Roosevelt, School Board.
Amy Stone, School Board.
Ed Tate, School Board.
All right, thank you. And now I will hand it over to Mr. Funk and Ms. Crawford.
Thank you, thank you. And this is a reminder that for reliable, accurate, and up-to-date information about our district, please refer to resources, websites, and social media platforms managed by the Council Rock School District. While individuals may post content of their choosing, not everything shared on social media is accurate or based on complete information, and at times it can be misleading. We want to ensure that the information you receive and the sources you trust are truly rock solid. We encourage the public to verify the information on social media and be discerning in where they obtain information relating to Council Rock. If you question what you are seeing, need clarification, or want a reliable fact check, please contact the district directly. Our contact information is available at our website, www.crsd.org.
Mr. Funk, sorry to interrupt, I just did not get the attendance of our guests along the perimeter, so we could, yeah.
Tamara Gary, Supervisor of Curriculum Instruction.
Casey Black, Supervisor of Student Services. Susan Day, Community Member.
Kathleen Manning, Teacher on Special Assignment at Nicole Elementary.
Michael Catalano, Council Rock Software Teacher.
Heidi Cooper, a community member and school-based counselor in elementary schools.
Sorry about the parent, I guess the community member didn't introduce. We kind of introduced everyone, so you could just say.
Community Member. I'm Nicole Gilchrist, parent.
All right, sorry about that. Usually we don't do the attendance of guest members, but we just kind of went with it today. All right, thank you.
Oh, good, thank you. All right, so as you can see, we have a rather robust agenda for this evening's meeting. And if I may, to start things off, we will be hearing from Mr. Michael Catalano and Mrs. Kathleen Manning as they recap for us this year's very successful Council Rock Summer Academy. Next, Mrs. Crawford and Ms. Gary will provide an update on FDK implementation, as well as speak to us about the curriculum approval process. Dr. Casey Black, Supervisor of Student Services, is on hand and will share information with the committee on the Pennsylvania Youth Survey, as well as an update on Council Rock's wellness program. And I, as I have done in years past, will be sharing information on our dual enrollment programs at both high schools. Next, we will update you on the work of the high school scheduling committee and our upcoming site visitations. We will also discuss the cyberbullying presentations assemblies that are planned at all of our schools throughout this academic year, and they will be offered by the United States Secret Service. Dr. Oberman, Director of Student Services, will provide an update on special education and the number of projects he has worked with on his team over the summer. And finally, our Director of Communications, Andrea Mangold, will speak to us about Smart Social, Council Rock's AI guidelines, and the Magic School platform. So without further ado, let's jump right in with Summer Academy recap. Welcome, Michael and Kathleen.
Hi, everyone. As Al stated, we had a really amazing and successful 2025 Summer Academy program. We had 537 students registered, next to the 321 that we had registered last year. We had a 78% attendance rate this year. The previous year, we had an 80% rate. 93 staff members, including our tech guru, Matt, who was awesome. We offered a new program, the Ready, Set, Grow program, which we hoped would help to prepare for the incoming full-day kindergarten. We continued to have the rising grades 1 through 6 ELA math review practice. We had visual literacy and positive mindset. We implemented the Walk to Read program, where students were flexibly grouped based on their skill set with reading and language arts skills. And this year we also implemented a new kind of like bridge to middle school for rising grade 7. It was a content review of math and language arts, as well as study skills and some executive functioning skills to help them better prepare for life at the middle school. And then we continued with our 7 through 8 ELA and math skill builder, but we added on that study skills and executive functioning piece as well. In high school, we continued with Algebra 1 and literature, but we added on the bio piece, and we also included test-taking strategies. Something new we also tried was credit recovery, where students who failed a course had an opportunity to work through the virtual course with a Council Rock School District teacher to help support and motivate them through that process.
And I'm going to share with you tonight a little bit more about the highlights from our Ready, Set, Grow program for our incoming full-day kindergarten students, which was really a delight for us to experience this year. We had sent out a parent survey just to collect some information from the parents, and 94% were satisfied or very satisfied with the program. 90% said that their child felt more confident starting kindergarten, which was our hope. 94% saw improvement in their early academic and their social skills. And 100% reported that they felt their children felt more familiar and were excited to start full-day kindergarten. Have any questions for us?
Questions?
Yeah.
Horner?
Thank you so much for putting this together, because I know it's really an advantage for the students for the summer. Could you go back to the first slide?
Mm-hmm.
What basically age group was the most populated?
Our rising grades K through 6 probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the credit recovery, how did that work out? Getting students that
So
didn't pass?
we did collect data, and what we figured out was if students attended the entirety of the program, if they worked through the course modules during the time that they were there, the average amount of course that they completed, they would have been able to complete the whole recovery during that time.
So they all completed, how many were in it, and did they all?
I believe we had 7 students registered, and attendance was spotty at the secondary level.
Spotty.
That's been historic in past years too. You typically get a better showing for elementary age students for obvious reasons.
Yep.
Mr. Hidalgo?
Thank you. So I was going to ask about credit recovery too. Do they actually get improve their GPA if they follow through with things?
So it's, if they failed the course during the academic school year, they would need to recover the credit in order to graduate. And we offer a virtual model where the students are taking those courses virtually. And you know, when we were surveying guidance and the rest of our team to think about new ways to bring in more secondary students, we thought that having, you know, a CRSD teacher, we actually had an ELD certified teacher, so he was really helpful and was a really positive like mentor for the students as they were working through those modules. So they weren't getting direct instruction, but they were getting support and guidance throughout the process.
Do they qualify for made up credits, or is it just basically helping them, like how to
When they complete the course, they then
get satisfactory?
recover that credit that they lost during the school year.
All right, that's what it says recovery. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Roosevelt?
Thank you. I'm also interested not only in the qualitative data that is on the screen, but the quantitative, similar to Mr. Hidalgo and Ms. Horner. What quantitative data do you have about the growth of the students that went through this program, the roughly 537 of them?
I have here, so what we usually do when we first have the children come in, we're usually doing a quick measure, almost like the beginning of the school year, where we do, you know, just a universal screening, we call it. So we use that information at the beginning of summer academy, and as they finished, that's when we would measure their skills. And we just have a collection of how they did in reading as well as math, and we can share that with you. I can send that along with you. I have some very basic information here, but generally speaking, we went through all the specific reading skills. For example, if we're looking at the percentage of growth for like nonsense word fluency, because we do get very specific and detailed with that, 15% more a rise in their scores, okay, in their assessment scores, compared to the beginning following the end. Their oral reading fluency, for example, was 11% higher. Their oral reading fluency, the words correct per minute, was 17% higher. So it's very detailed, but I can certainly share that information and send that along for you.
That would be great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Ms. Oseki?
Couple questions. I'm also interested in, it sounds like it was a success, and certainly the registration shows that it was a success, but I'm also interested in more of the nuance. Like if you have those numbers, and particularly if you're able to break it down by a grade, I think that would be helpful. And I think you could also use that. Last year at this time, we talked about marketing this program, and we talked about when the dates were released to parents because the families are trying to plan their summer. I'm guessing that that's why you had so many more students registers, because people could plan for it better, because I know we released the dates earlier this year. It would probably also be helpful in the marketing for next year to say, hey, if your kid is in 6th grade, this is what we noticed on our 6th grade kids last year, so that people would be more enticed into the program. I have a question about the kindergarten, Ready, Set, Grow. That's adorable. How did you determine whether kids were eligible for that program?
We did not have criteria as we do with the remediation. We just opened it up and offered it for all the early registration.
Okay.
So
We opened it up and held our breath.
yes, we sure did. And I just watched the numbers and I was like, I just want to let you know. We're like,
But they were okay? They were good? The numbers, the registration was good for
it was
staff?
great. It was great. Yes. It was.
Good job.
Kindergartners were the most cheerful, happy moment of the entire
It
program.
really was. It's incredible to see all ages right in that one school, and just everything coming together, and all the staff, and even the staff in the school at Holland Middle School. It's just amazing to watch it all come together.
I think it's really awesome that you've added the study skills. I think that that's something that I hear a lot about, and executive functioning as, skills that parents want their kids to work on, and it's not necessarily something that you can get anywhere else, you know, so I think that's terrific.
Ms. Stone?
Yeah, can you describe what the length of time was for the programs? Were they all a little different, or how much?
We did stagger arrival and dismissal because we had so many students, but it was a 3-hour day, basically from 9 to 11.
It was like 8:30 and then it was 9.
Yeah.
We did stagger it together. It was 3 hours.
It was 3 hours,
Yeah.
a 3-hour program, yeah.
Was it 4 days a week? How many?
4 days
4
a
days.
week, Monday through Thursday, yes,
So it was 3 weeks, 12 days.
For how many weeks?
for
Three.
3 weeks.
So it was 12.
So it's one session for each of those.
Basically 12 sessions, 12 3-hour sessions.
Thank you.
Okay, I had a couple of quick questions. These are great questions by board colleagues. In terms of the kindergarten enrollment numbers, I'm wondering if that's the biggest jump from the 321 last year to 537. How many of that was kindergartners?
There were approximately 100. I remember that was in the end. And then, you know, there were some withdrawals and things like that. But that was definitely a part of the increase in numbers, along with, I feel as though the 6th grade, we had the 6th going into 7th grade was a larger jump of students. And then, of course, you know, just having the extra
I think middle school grew a bit too.
Yeah, okay. Do we plan to continue Ready, Set, Grow into next year? Then, I guess that's, yeah.
We will be reflecting, certainly Michael and Kathleen did a great job on the program, and we're really proud of our students, but we are going to be taking a look at that and reflecting on all aspects of it, which is typical of what we do every year, which is important. So we have not yet discussed what exactly it will look like and sound like, but certainly the Ready, Set, Grow component was quite a success. And we heard good feedback, generally speaking, from schools. It was, and families, it was nice for students to have that exposure before actually showing up at the real school, the big school, as we say, at the start of the school year, so.
Mr. Hickey?
Thank you very much for your presentation. My question really isn't directed towards you or actually anybody in this room, I guess, but what was the cost for Summer Academy? It says 93 staff members and at X amount of dollars.
I think,
Yeah, well.
If you get back to me on that, that'd be
Get back,
fine.
yeah.
Thank you.
Just one more follow-up question. I was wondering, you did the survey for the kindergarten parents since it was new. I was wondering, do we ever do surveys for the families of the other students that attend, just to get some feedback? And, you know, every year as you expand upon the program or
We have not.
improve. I mean, I hate to overdo the survey, but I feel like in that case, we don't know, especially since it's such a short snapshot of time, you know, in students.
No, I think our main reason why we wanted to survey the families was because we didn't have any starting data from the kindergarten students, so we wanted to have some type of data to share with you folks about the success of the Ready, Set, Grow program.
Yeah, I was just curious, because I know in previous meetings when we talked about this, even last year, we talked about how to increase attendance or how to get more to, you know, how to advertise it. We talked about, you know, earlier, so, you know, when families are already starting in January, summer camp enrollment, that they're, you know, can have that data and information, those dates as early as possible. I really appreciate you both coming in and sharing this awesome news. I do have a question for, I think, Mr. Funk or Ms. Crawford. I know we had discussed that until this year, or end of last year, last summer, the funds out of this were paid by the ESSER funds. So I know this summer, it came out of the school budget. And as I'm sure what Mrs. Crawford was alluding to, for next year, that this would either it has to have a place in the budget if we are to continue, if that's correct. And I have in my numbers from the pre-meeting It was approximately $300,000 this year, is what I have. I mean, I don't, that's what I have from our,
That's what I have to.
Yeah, I
And
think
it-
that's ballpark, yeah.
right, I knew it was ballpark, it's an estimate, but, and then it was 250 estimate, again, from 2024. So just, everyone is aware that moving forward, this would come at a cost.
And you're correct, our ESSER funds stopped. And then the school district has paid for this.
So this was budgeted this year, and then we have to, okay. Ms. Stone?
Just quickly, were there any suggestions for changes or improvements that you saw or that the parents recommended?
I did actually keep a little spreadsheet of that information, and I know one of the things that I keep hearing, and parents really want to know, like, as soon as possible, what the dates are, because they start planning for the summer. And one of the things that we try to encourage is the consistency of attendance. And that's tricky, because having Summer Academy in July, that's when a lot of families are going away, so can we come the first week and, part of the second week? So, and it's hard because we do feel that it's important for the children to be there with that consistency for those 12 days. So, getting that out earlier is important. Of course, they talked about, there's a lot of questions about transportation. They wished that we had transportation. That's always been something I hear. But other than that, that seems to be the most that I've gotten a lot of information about, those two topics, really.
We made a whole list of all the operational
Yes.
ironing outs that we want to do, and we had a great debrief with Al and Nicole, and we plan on reflecting on that, all of our ideas, and modifying and adjusting for the future.
Excellent. Thank you both for a successful Summer Academy.
Thank you for the opportunity
being here.
to direct it.
Thank you both.
So we've had a very successful start of the school year related to full-day kindergarten. I'd like to begin by acknowledging all of our wonderful kindergarten students. They're working so hard and adjusting to the new routines, and we're very, very proud of them. I also want to acknowledge certainly the great work that our teachers, our staff, our administrators, everyone involved in full-day kindergarten, everything they've done to help set everyone up for success at the start of the year, and also acknowledge our families and our community for the ongoing support. We'll continue to provide updates related to full-day kindergarten throughout this year, but tonight specifically, we are going to provide an update related to curriculum in full-day kindergarten. So over the past year, a dedicated team of teachers and specialists and coordinators have worked collaboratively to design curriculum for our full-day kindergarten program. This effort reflects countless hours of thoughtful planning and professional expertise, and a commitment to ensuring that our youngest learners have a strong, developmentally appropriate foundation for their school journey. Tonight, we are pleased to welcome back Ms. Tammy Gary, our Supervisor of Curriculum and Instruction, and she'll provide an overview of the process as well as what the team engaged in terms of the work related to curriculum writing, and she'll highlight key components of the curriculum and what that will mean for students and families. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Gary.
Thank you. Just giving you kind of I always start with the broad picture before we kind of narrow it down in the scope. So I always start by telling you about the Chapter 4 guidelines for the state, kind of our accountability of what is expected and the compliance that we need for our curriculum. So Chapter 4 guidelines define planned instruction, and what planned instruction is the standards that the state has, Pennsylvania state standards, and then our documents that we create are how our district makes decisions of how the standards are put together, assessed, and then our outcomes for everything. So we started a couple different
processes that come together. So in looking at full-day kindergarten, it's the first that we're bringing to you, but there's going to be more. So we wanted to go through kind of an explanation of the whole process and putting it together. So just focusing on kindergarten then, the courses that we had for to look at and to create or to expand upon, English language arts and math had existing programs with the half-day program. They expanded their scope, so expanded the number of standards and the time involved. Science and social studies, we looked at developmentally appropriate, which is also something the state requires for primary instruction. So science standards and social studies standards were put together in what we refer to as Play Lab, a type of instructional model. Then for the specials, music and library were previous, but the time was expanded. And then art, PE, and STEAM were new to kindergarten, so it was starting with creating the base curriculum for it. So when we look at a planned course document, it's based on planned instruction. So what I did is try to highlight what the state says you have to have in regards to your product that you have for approval and that's open for your public to see. So starting with the standards, it's the basis of everything. In kindergarten, we have our K-12 standards, but you see kindergarten is lacking in a lot of those standards. So a different department created the early standards. So the PA learning standards for early childhood. And what those do are look at age and developmentally appropriate. So when you look at the different sets of standards, just to kind of give you the visual behind it, what teachers do is they get together, they review the standards. In how Pennsylvania is put together, we have Pennsylvania state standards, but they're the floor. So this is kind of the document of what standards look like K-12. The standards for kindergarten, they look much cuter, but they go into much more depth as to what takes place. So starting with kindergarten and going through 12th, PA state standards are the floor. You must do at least those. You can move higher and you can move on to things like national standards. In different areas for our specials, you'll see national standards referenced, and then going up all the way through 12th grade, the higher level standards of like College Board. So when teachers get together, they review the standards, they start to group them or cluster them into how they want to create units. So in looking at this document, and we created the initial documents about 2 years ago to provide the information and transparency for everything, and we're building now more information into that. What we tried with these documents, everything is now uploaded into our website. So if you go under curriculum instruction, all of the planned course documents are there. As I said, we're adding to that. So in these documents, when you see the blue, those are actual links. So when you go onto the website and you like to see the standards, you just click on that and then it'll show you the documents, these different documents, so you can reference to see more of what they are. The course description then gives you kind of the explanation of what the course is about, what type of standards are being met, and the outlook the teachers took in creating the courses. The objectives, when we first came up with this, we just listed that they were going to be identified within the scope and sequence. At the end of last year, we purchased a product called Atlas, which is a curriculum management system. So the expanded planned course documents go into the units, identifying with each unit the standards, and then more information about what takes place in it. So we'll come back to that. So objectives, there's a lot of information that's added to that. Instructional strategies then break down for the different courses what type of instruction is being given. So the difference between, just say, English language arts with the IC, we see, you see, we do, to technology, where it could be working with individual things, investigating, putting things together. So when we flip to the next one, The document continues, and again, these required things, the form of assessment. So also on the website, we listed information about all the assessments. On the side, what we're doing with elementary, because it's also a standards-based report card, is aligning the standards to the assessments so that we could see how effective everything is. So collecting the data, because the actual outcome, once you hit third grade and PSSA starts, how Chapter 4 is written is that the standards and getting kids to get a proficient score on the state assessment. That is the focus of Pennsylvania in education. So with the form of assessments, you'll see different types, and then within the standards-based report card, what we've been working on for the past 2 years, again, is aligning the descriptors from the standards to the actual assessment students are taking, and then the questions on the assessments are being aligned to the standards so they can do an item analysis and breakdown. So we're looking to put a whole system together that looks at what we're saying is being taught, the instruction that goes into it, and then the effectiveness based on the data with the scores. The next thing on here is estimated instructional time. That's a state requirement. It's different in every district you go to based on their scheduling. And then very importantly, the resources are all listed, what textbooks are being used, if there's technology used, what supplies and different resources teachers are using. What we try to do is also include wherever there's a textbook, an ISBN number, so if parents are interested, they could go in and they could look. As you get to the older grades with technology, especially, we try to put links in so parents could go and see actually what the students are going into. So that's kind of the overview of what it looks like. On our next slide, this gets into that part where I mentioned about objectives. So the standards are what the state says that we have to do. That's the floor. There's no question that has to be taught. When the teachers get together, they take those standards and that kind of circle within a circle, they take those standards and group them together to identify what units are. So the example given was English language arts. So they have, I believe, 4 units. So the title of the units, when you get the hard copy documents, is at the top. So the circle kind of over to on the left, it identifies the units, and then at the top, it'll identify exactly what unit it is. Then within that unit, the first part is identifying specifically what standards are selected. In kindergarten, one of the biggest sets of standards is only K through 2. It's the foundational reading standards. So everything you've heard about with structured literacy, that's where those standards are. K1 and 2. By 3rd grade, those end. That's how DIBELS is related, getting kids to understand how to read. By 3rd grade, it switches using reading to learn, and that's when PSSAs begin. So there is a differentiation with kindergarten that you'll see with this. It won't be heavy on reading literature and reading informational, because obviously in kindergarten, the kids aren't reading yet. So it's building the reading skills. Writing is also included in there. So within the different components of the standards, they're broken down. It gets confusing because, I kind of point to it, I have to do my instruction. Each of these kind of identifies how the standards are broken down. So that each of the different areas is broken down into the numbers. The K is kindergarten, and then within this is broken down. So it's kind of a hierarchy of how it's listed. So you see the foundational skills, the writing skills. When you have those, you have literature and speaking and listening. Those are all subcategories of ELA standards. This part then is very important because this is the decisions that were made by the teachers on how the instruction is going to take place. For this one, how it's broken down is we use a template called Understanding by Design by Grant and Wiggins. It's been around for a very long time, and it's how you kind of create the framework for learning. And your framework for learning is the first part of identifying what's going to be taught. What's the instruction? So essential questions ask the kind of thought-provoking question of what you're trying to accomplish. Enduring understandings are what you want the students to take with them and carry outside of the classroom as well. So they're more general. Content and skills is from a standard, you break them down. So teachers learn the process of when they read one of these, to break it down into basically its nouns and verbs, what students should know and what students should be able to do by the end of the course. These are very aligned. Within standards, what Pennsylvania does, there's a lot of them. They break it down into eligible content, and that's what's going to be on the state tests. So when they align this and they align this, it links the assessment then to the overall PSSA. K-1, 2 don't have state assessments, so their focus goes back to a lot of this, which is looking at building foundational skills, and that's why they're given dibbles and Acadians, to see that the progress is being made so that when they get to third grade, they're able to meet those standards. That's the part kind of that you'll get for board approval. Each of them are set up. What I did for you is I created the hard copy documents and I sent them electronically to Dr. Sanko. This is for this year only because with the purchase of Atlas, this is what's on Atlas, but we don't have the open part for it yet. We didn't pay for that for this year because everybody's putting information in, so it would have been money wasted. But in the future years, all of this will be on Atlas, and it will be through the website that people could go on and see. So it's not only for transparency, there's nothing being hidden, but it really is for parents to see and to use what their students, what their children are doing when they're in the classroom. And so there's that communication back and forth. Nothing's being hidden, and it's a way of a parent to see what's being taught and how they could interact and help with their children. So these will be sent to you to review, and then that's it. So we have them for the 4 core and for the 5 specials for kindergarten.
All right, questions? Is there a? Mr. Roosevelt?
Thank you. That was really enlightening, that last piece. I think it's very helpful, and I look forward to reviewing that. I'm curious, do you, or better phrase, does the district have that information for all grades?
Not yet.
Okay.
So part of coming in is the planned course documents my first year, that was Dr. Sanko's main, I'd say focus, to see that every course had that information put. So on the website, when you go on now, the 2-page document, so kind of listing all the essential information is on the website now. So we finished that up this summer. You could go in, click, everything's there, K through 12. However, that piece that says the scope and sequence that takes it the next dive into the units, that's not up yet. So when we had the conversation last year about the documentation, because I always go back, my nickname is Harrisburg Tammy, very lovingly. A lot of curriculum is about compliance with the state. So having these together, putting in the units, having on Atlas a portal so that everything's there, and then it ties into that 5-year curriculum cycle that we presented last year, so that these will be updated. It will be put, come to you for approval, then it'll be put on the site so that everybody has the opportunity to see it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So second?
I love it when you come. I mean, this is like, just, it's so important. And I know you're new, and you're new, but you're not as new as I am. So I don't know what it was like before you were here, but I just love how everything is like staged and just very well thought out. And I can tell how organized and what a good planner you are. And, you have those executive functioning skills that we talked about in the academy, so I appreciate it. I have a couple questions, but mostly I just want to say thank you. You talked a lot about what the minimum, the floor. At this point, is it premature to ask, and maybe it is, what are we doing beyond the floor for kindergarten, but in general, like what does Council Rock require beyond the floor?
And that's a great question. So coming in and looking at, the first step we really looked at was the alignment and getting the assessments aligned to the standards. So in putting that together, when you look at it, we'll be able to see where we're strong and where we're weak. The ultimate goal with everything within Pennsylvania comes back to the test. So with the PSSA and with Keystone, at the elementary level, it's of course looking at student achievement and how to make our students more successful. As you start to move up and you get into when PSSAs are starting in third grade and moving up, a lot of differentiation starts to take place with student skills. So it's identifying then through the program, so example would be like Algebra 1. We want to identify the students who are able to move to a higher course or to have more enrichment earlier so that their progress through arcing all the way through 12th grade, you create those pathways for them to get more rigor and to end. So you're always keeping the end in mind where you want the kids to go. So for example, we're going to shift it more to high school level. When we're looking at the curriculum and we're saying, okay, we're leveling courses, how do we get the kids successful and give them that rigor to say, how can you move up? How could you do the next step to meet your goals? If you're college, career, military, how do we set you up to be successful forever, wherever you want to end? So when looking at the curriculum with the floor, from a high school perspective, like you see it more, you say, okay, here's our keystones, but our goal shouldn't be that we're just going to be advanced. We want to make sure that on our scores for PSAT and for SAT, that with the, just say ELA, that test is in 10th grade, you still have 11th and 12th grade. How do we get you to National Merit Scholars? How do we get you to get 5s on AP? So looking as you build your curriculum, as you start from kindergarten, you're also working backwards and back mapping to high school to get more rigor, but you have to be able to build the foundation to get to the higher levels within high school. So it's a complex working two ways, identifying how we get them to the higher level. So not only just getting advanced as a score, but then how do you get higher scores on the placement tests and things you need for whatever you go into.
Thank you. I guess that's all I have for now.
Any other questions?
So Ms. Gary, when you come back and, you talked about, I think alluding to what Mr. Roosevelt was saying, when will this be available for all? When the work is done, then I guess you'll be seeking board approval for that other option I remember of Atlas that we didn't purchase, which is that the portal is available for all.
Right. So the first step would be, I have the things with Dr. Sanko. They go for board approval. When it's board approved, then it's how we make them accessible to the public. So when it's on Atlas, it's going to be so much easier, but I have to give a shout out and thank Matt McCarthy because he helped.
Never end.
He helped create the dynamic of how to put everything on the website. And two things that he said were very important and led kind of our decision-making process was the first one, not to put it in PDFs, to put it on the site. I got the thumbs up for it because that allows you to use translation. So any families to put it that at the top left-hand corner, you can translate it. So any of the planned course documents that are there can be translated and available for all parents and all students in all languages. So we're not sure if we want to put the PDF of these larger documents on there. They will be available hopefully starting in the end of the next summer, but we'll figure out with that. And the other part that Matt had said on the right-hand side is the availability to search. So if you're a parent and you're looking for geometry, you could go and when you do the search, all geometry would come because it's all on the site. So working to figure out for the rest of this year how to put those public facing so people can see them, knowing that in the future it'll be readily accessible through the Atlas system.
I know you touched upon it. I know we talked about it in the meeting. I think, and Ms. Mangold brought it up because my question at the pre-meeting was, how does this translate for families that would be difficult to go through something documented? I know Ms. Mangold said in the district there is a translate button, but the documents have to be in PDF, which is what you do, or do not.
If it's a PDF and it's not technically.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Correct.
if it's on the site, that's why we kind of set it up so that all of the documents are there. It's kind of like a grid that you click on what level and then you click on the subject. So that's all translate, but when you put it as a PDF, the PDF isn't translated.
Okay.
So that's what we were really trying to be cognizant of, that everybody has the access to the information. But then we could do it as a PDF, if it's just 1 year.
And I just have one final question. Is any of the planned course documents that you're currently working on and when it's going to be available at Atlas, is any of that applicable for special education?
So there's two different types, if you think of special education. When students are included in the class, how it's set up within Atlas is after, the first part is what I showed you, then the second part is assessment. That's not going to be public because it's very specific information that you don't share, so that's more general. The part after that talks about differentiation, and it also has different instructional practices. So if the student is included, it would be in that part of the document. If it's kind of referred to as a pull-out class where it's taught by a special education teacher for special education students, they're going to be working on their curriculum for that course. So it would be reflective of the regular ed course, but it would be modified to meet what is needed to be a special education course. Is that fair to say?
I think so, yeah.
The standards don't change. They might be modified, but the standards.
Mainly looking at the high school, right, we have what they call LRC classes at North and South. So it might be, we have an Algebra 1 Gen Ed class where students might be included, or Algebra 1 LRC, which is considered a special education class. It's smaller, but it's still based on Algebra 1 standards. They might go at a slower pace. They might, remove some of the more complex type of problems, but the overall curriculum is the same as the Algebra 1.
Because it will come down to the separation is if they're going to take the state test, they have to meet the eligible content for that. If it's a different level, it's a different test, the PASA, for a small percentage of students, and they have modified different standards for that level.
All right, thank you so much for coming in. Once
Thank
again.
you.
Have a good day.
Morning.
Sure.
Yep.
Good evening, everyone. All right, so my first topic to speak with you about this evening is the Pennsylvania Youth Survey, or the PAYS, which is a statewide survey administered every 2 years. It's sponsored by the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency, or the PCCD, to look for risk factors that lead to negative behaviors, such as substance abuse and suicidal ideation. The survey also looks for protective factors, which help guard against children engaging in negative behaviors. The purpose of the survey is to inform administrators, state agency directors, and legislatures to tell them what current trends are happening so that prevention and intervention resources can be targeted to areas where they will be most effective. That way?
Yes.
Thank you. The PAYS is administered to all 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th grade students and follows each cohort throughout their secondary career. This year, the PAYS Junior was released, which is administered to 4th graders. Because it is in its inaugural year of the PAYS Junior, we are going to wait on administration to 4th graders for this year, but we might revisit this in 2 years when we administer the PAYS again. The PAYS that will be given to 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th graders will be administered during a 2-week time frame in November. It takes only 1 class period to complete. Parents can view the items ahead of time, and they can easily opt out by writing to their child's principal. And the results will be available this spring. Any questions about the PAYS? Questions? So second?
Can parents see the individual questions? Is that what's?
Yes.
Okay.
You can get the entire list.
How do we do that?
So there is an email address to which you can request them. I already did it just to make sure, and I have the whole list myself.
How's it communicated to the parents and say the email address, but how's that communicated?
All of that will be in the ROC report repeatedly and from principals at the school buildings as well.
What else? Can we talk a little bit about, I know previously when we've actually last year, well, I guess 2 years ago, when you presented some of the results of the last time the pay survey was taken, how I know it's a requirement from the state, but how does the district use that survey and that information moving forward to?
Sure, yeah. So we have a committee that reviews the results in the spring when they come in. And we look at all of the items. We get a big report that kind of tries to analyze it for us. It gives us in big trends, and then we can kind of go into very specific detail as well. We've seen a lot of decreasing trends in things. For example, vaping is going down. It is not zero by any stretch of the imagination, but it is going down, which we were very happy to see. The past administration, one thing that we saw jump up dramatically was gambling. And so we worked with our health coordinator to put some gambling units into the health curriculum to try to address that. Gambling, some people get concerned when they hear that. Just so you're aware, gambling also encompasses things like fantasy football and things like that, and so that's part of the rise.
So it helps kind of drive some of the health curriculum or some of your, I know we talked about assemblies and different topics to target. Okay. So second? Sorry, Mr. Hidalgo. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, I think I mentioned this last time, the gambling, they're making it really easy online. There's big promotions, and it actually targets kids, I think.
For fantasy football?
Just for
Anything.
online gambling in general. And even adults, they're making it so easy now. So the more we can do to educate those kids about it, we should really go strong, because I know kids like in middle school that are definitely, they talk about it, no more Roblox, they're gambling, whatever that means.
Yeah.
It's a very dangerous thing.
Mr. Seki?
Do all students take the PACE, including special ed?
I believe so. All of the students that can take it do. Yes.
And then those results, do we look at those separately to see if there's something?
They're not divided amongst student by student. The results are anonymous, but they're by grade level.
Only grade level.
Thank you.
My second topic to talk with you about tonight is student wellness. I wanted to give you an update with where we are with student wellness. So before we get to the update, I wanted to do a brief recap of where we started and how we got here. So about a year ago, we started with a survey that went out to all staff and all families in the district. And then although we analyzed all of that data by type of respondent and by individual grade bands, all of the information from grade bands and respondent types indicated that we had the same two areas of need for our students within the district, and those were reduced emotional distress and improved social behavior. So from that information, we formed an elementary committee that consisted of teachers, parents, administrators, and student services staff. Together, we went through the 99 CASEL-approved programs and pulled only those that have been shown to improve both emotional distress and social behavior. Just so you know, that really narrowed the field. It's actually hard to find a program that that effectively improves both of those areas. A lot of programs focus on one or the other. If you think about social behavior, that would be programs that focus on community building and those types of things. So finding a program that effectively improves both kind of narrowed the field quite a bit. But we took all of those programs and the committee reviewed each of them according to many variables, including student engagement, number of lessons, length of staff training needed. And from all of that, 3 programs quickly floated to the top. Representatives from those 3 programs presented to the committee, and it was clear that one was far ahead of the others, which is Second Step, the digital version. I'm going to share a bit about Second Step with you here today, but we also have Forrest Walter joining us virtually from Second Step so that he can answer any questions you have specific to the program. Much of what Second Step offers is directly aligned with our goals here in the district. For example, the program has been shown to increase student attendance and reduce behavior referrals, which are 2 main goals of our PBIS and our social work initiatives. The lessons also directly address emotional distress and social behavior by offering lessons in confidence, problem solving, and relationship skills. There are 20 lessons for each grade, kindergarten through 5, and there are 26 lessons for 6th grade. Each year, the lessons focus on growth mindset, goal setting, empathy, kindness, and problem solving. Another wonderful feature of the program, which is not found in any other program we looked at, is the lesson completion tracking and their leader dashboard. I'm showing you here the leader dashboard, which allows the principal or their designee to monitor the implementation of all of the lessons. It allows for the building leaders to address issues within certain grade levels by ensuring all classes have completed the relevant lessons. And they can assign additional lessons if, for example, if you have a cohort in your building, 4th grade is having trouble at recess and there are a lot of referrals coming out of recess. Well, then the principal might assign the 4th grade additional lessons on social behavior and being kind to each other. Matt's going to help me try this. So we have a sample lesson for you. This is a 2nd grade lesson that I chose on how to be better problem solvers. So the way this kind of works is there's a script for the teacher to read, and then there are different videos. So there's a brain builder. All lessons start with a brain builder. We're not going to do that now. And then there's a getting started period. And what I'm going to show you here is the practice part. So just as a little bit, just so you understand what's going on here, the students are told to watch this video of Naya and Jed, who are friends, and they're asked to pay attention to what Jed says. So could we play that? Okay, so then there's a script for the teacher to read to guide the students through processing this interaction. And they talk about how both Naya and Jed are feeling after these words were shared. And then they're asked to watch this next video. Okay, and so then the students are guided through talking about what was different and what words they heard that were different and what they could do to help in those types of similar situations in the future. At the secondary level, the schedule and some other variables prevented us from being able to choose a program, so we had to be a little bit more creative with how we're addressing student wellness at that level. So we're proposing to add additional assemblies on vaping cessation and cyberbullying, which you'll hear more about later tonight. Additionally, we are adding daily morning announcements based on the themes of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. And up here are examples of the first 4 days of morning announcements. As you'll see, each announcement is 3 sentences in length, and it's designed to be positive little reminders for the school day that all of the students in 7th through 12th grade will hear each morning, or see, because some of it is visual. Questions?
Questions? Mr. Roosevelt?
Always up for questions. How much is this program costing? Is my first question.
Sure. Well, we, thankfully, with Mr. Walter's help, we were able to lock in last year's pricing because we started inquiring about this a little bit early, and he is holding that for us pending approval. I believe it will be $26,000
For all,
for K to 6.
for K to 6?
For all 10 buildings.
Is this offered after 6?
No, well, they do have a 7th and 8th grade program, but we are not doing it in the middle school.
So K to 6, did you say 26?
26,000.
Okay. And then when will this be administered?
So it takes 15 to 30 minutes per week. And again, it's 20 weeks, so that accounts for some weeks you might not get to it, or there might be a day off or a snow day. I believe they've figured out a morning period, mostly at Fridays, I think, in most buildings, early in the morning when they would be doing these lessons.
Are they doing this in health class, or are they doing this in homeroom, or?
No, in the regular classroom.
And then is this connected to a specific policy?
A policy, no.
Okay. That's it, thank you.
Mr. Tate and then Mr. Hickey.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. 2 questions. One is there plans for assessment? And 2, does this program get updated, revised on a regular basis, based on the feedback that comes in?
So I'll answer the first one, and then maybe I'll throw the second one to Mr. Walter. We do a universal screening of social emotional behavior for all of our students in elementary school 3 times per year. And so we would be looking to see improvements in that from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. We would use, in other words, we would use our assessments.
And we already have a baseline.
Correct, exactly. And then Mr. Walter, can you hear us?
The beauty of doing it electronically.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Mr. Hickey?
Yeah, my question had to do with assessment as well. Like, if you go back to your very first screen. Keep going. That one? No, that one. Are we going to be able to do an assessment like that? So we're gonna be able to compare our absenteeism from this year compared to previous years. We're gonna see a reduction in behavioral referrals or not, or whatever, and all these things. So there's gonna be something measurable. So at this time next year, when we're talking about this, we can say, this program either worked or not worked for the dollars that we're paying.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we can run attendance reports. We do run them monthly in our buildings anyway, but we can absolutely do that as part of this process. And our discipline referrals are monitored through our system called SWIS, so we can certainly look at that. And then we have our SRSS data, so we'll have a lot of data points to be able to look at.
And other than the announcement section, is there any plan for grades 7 to 12 as it relates to any of this?
I think that would depend on where things land with the schedule and things. The schedule unfortunately ties our hands a lot as far as implementation of a program. If you don't go with something like this, with a scripted lesson program, so at the secondary level, if there is no time for a lesson, then it's more of teacher training and teaching them lots of language. But that would take away a lot of PD from our teachers, which are kind of spoken for already. We have a lot of plans for PD for the teachers, so we would be looking far down the line before we were to change something for the secondary level.
And then one final question, where you say it takes 15 to 30 minutes per lesson. What is it taking away from academically?
Right, so right now they do morning meeting, morning circle, where they greet everybody and they do, they all go around and say hello, and they do like a handshake, high five, or hug kind of thing. I was in there this morning seeing that. Then they might share something that they did last night or something that they had trouble with on the homework. Everybody goes around and takes a turn and shares that. So it would be taking that away, and instead we're going to open our day with these lessons.
Thank you.
Mr. Hidalgo and Ms. Horner?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Black and Mr. Walters, who's on the line. Hope you can hear me. So wellness, student wellness is obviously probably the number one thing. So I always say if a kid's happy, they're going to learn. So you want happy kids. And since we have both of you in the room right now, I'd like to ask about maybe if what the historical data shows in student wellness, and it kind of seems like something that may have snowballed over a certain period of time. And I'm just wondering basically that, and what kind of you obviously you don't have a study in front of you, but if there's some trends I can think for myself, but I'd rather hear from you guys of what your view is or what your belief is with how this has grown to be such a need. And then also ask a little bit about Second Step and how long it's been around and how it came about to be in this niche of the market. First, we'll start with the data, please.
I don't have a study. I can tell you just from experience, we absolutely seen an increase in anxiety in our children. Stress, worry about their future, worry about their family, worry about test scores, social opinions and perspectives of each other. I would say that is the most growing need I see related to social wellness, student wellness. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's just like, this is like the advent of the internet and social media, and then all these being on their phones all the time, and there's a whole thing about seeing everybody always gives their best view online, but really it's not like all just green grass, and so kids see that, and I think it is one of the stress factors. I also believe things have changed in our schools. Some philosophies or some things we used to lean on are not there any longer, which I'll skip the question about where Second Step came to and just maybe ask about the system itself has to be grounded in some kind of philosophical philosophy or belief system, whether it's secular humanism or faith-based, or is it a blend of both? But one thing I find that when we get away from allowing children to express their concerns and be able to use what faith they may have, whatever that faith is, we are doing a disservice to that child if we are trying to just keep everything so separate. And if you talk about a student's wellness in a situation where they're worried about how somebody else thinks about them, getting into their thoughts and how they feel about their faith is an absolute winner. It's why it's been around for millennium. And I'm wondering if we know if this program has any, is it just secular? Is it secular humanism? Or does it open up to have some of that faith basis, golden rules, certain things like that?
I don't know the theoretical underpinnings of how it originated. I don't know if Mr. Walter, do you have any information to share related to that?
Right. Sure, and I guess I don't know if like the teachers would be basically, because, I'm not worried about one student having one type of thought and another, but actually using their thoughts to help them. So if the teachers are trained to be able to be open-minded, to work with that special, if that person has a special, starts having a conversation about it, then I would like that, to not be turned off, or should I say ignored, in the system, if it is. So thanks, that's.
Ms. Horner?
Okay, thanks. I have a couple questions. On the Second Step program for the teachers, it's 15 to 30 minutes that they will do this activity. Is there a self-instructed professional development for them to learn about it? Or instructional based, or how do they go about to know what and when they need to be doing this?
It's one of the wonderful features about it is that it's so easy to use for a teacher. There is a lesson plan that you get with every lesson, which is a script, which tells them exactly what they are to say and to ask the students. And then as you saw, the way that the lessons are set up, there's a video to show the kids, which is always set up the same way. There's the brain builder in the beginning, and then they have instruction and practice, and then the conclusion check. As far as what the teachers need to do in order to get started, it's a brief webinar just to kind of teach them how the system works and how they access the different pieces. And then there's a faculty meeting that Mr. Walter has offered to attend at each of our 10 buildings to kind of kick it off for the staff and initiate it.
And then on the secondary level, we're going to do the presentation on the cyberbullying. vaping. What program is that and how is that going to be implemented?
So we've contacted Dave Fialco from the Council of Southeastern Pennsylvania, and he is like the guru of vaping cessation, and he has assemblies for the secondary level that he's offered to provide to us at no cost. And so that's what we would like to go to for that. And the cyberbullying one you'll be hearing about later tonight.
And then the daily announcements, who will be doing them and how will you get the feedback?
So they're actually in most buildings, if not all, they might already have started. So they're just if the announcements are auditory, they're read in the beginning. If they're visual, they just come across the screen.
And then how do you get feedback? If they're asking them questions.
They're not asking questions. They're kind of telling you, here's something that you can do for the day. Yeah, do you want to pull them back up? There we go. So I see where you're saying there's a question, but that's more of a question they're supposed to ask themselves, not share the
So it is really just to check in with themselves.
Yes.
Mr. Secchi?
Well, I think it's great. I don't know how you got the footage of my kids fighting over chalk, because I'm pretty sure we've had that exact discussion, the first one, not the second one. So I think it's great, but I'm wondering, well, the chalk example might be very appropriate for a kindergartner. Is it the same video that's shown for a sixth grader?
No, that one was second grade, and that's a great question, because actually that was one of the negatives of actually the two other programs that were in our top three. Most of the programs don't have separate lessons for every grade level, whereas Second Step does. So the themes remain the same, but the lessons are completely different. We questioned one of the other programs that we thought we were liking a lot. They had lessons for K to 3 and lessons for 4 to 6. And we said, well, so the kindergartners, for example, are going to see the same lessons for 4 years. And they said, yeah, isn't that wonderful? Because then they'll really learn the material. And our feeling was like, well, yes, but I think they're going to get a little bored of that. So that was one huge advantage of Second Step.
That's great.
Okay, well, I really appreciate Mr. Walter being on the phone to answer any questions for us. In terms of, I know Mr. Roosevelt asked about the cost. Is this already budgeted?
Yes.
This year's, okay, and then you're looking for board approval?
Correct.
Or since it's above that threshold? Okay. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Gibson? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, before we get into dual enrollment, I think Dr. Sanko, our superintendent, did a little bit of research for Mr. Hickey's question about summer academy costs.
Thanks, Al. So we're keeping Tony Rapp busy tonight, too. This year, we spent $330,014.87 on Summer Academy. Last year, we spent $227,855.23 in Summer Academy.
Could you repeat that second one?
Sure. $227,855.23 versus 330,014.87.
Thank you, Mr. Rapp.
Thank you, Mr. Rapp.
That guy never rests. He's always on. All right, moving on to dual enrollment. This is just a standing item that we have each year at Education Committee prior to putting this on the board agenda, which we hope to do for October. So this is just our partnership with some institutions of higher learning and classes that we are offered dual enrollment. Basically what that means is students can take the high school course, receive high school credit, and additionally receive the college credit at these institutions. So we have partnerships with Bucks County Community College, the University of Iowa, and Gwinnett Mercy University. Currently, our offerings at both high schools are offered in the department BCIT, which is Business, Computers, and Information Technology. The prices for these dual enrollment courses for students, if they elect to attend the college credits, it's $400 for the Bucks County Community College course and the Gwinnett Mercy course. The University of Iowa course is slightly less. However, there is some additional monies that the district spends in terms of training the teachers to be University of Iowa certified. I don't have the numbers. I actually asked our BCIT district curriculum coordinator, who is new, Mr. Applebaum. He's going to get me the numbers about what the enrollment looks like. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily happen right away because students have the option to take the BCIT course and then elect later if they want to take the dual enrollment option for the college credit. So they don't necessarily have to commit to that early in the year.
So the Accelerated Entrepreneurship, University of Iowa, so if a ninth grader's taking that course, they can get a college credit, or you have to be higher?
That course is not ninth grade. Yeah, that's a later course.
There's something that's the same name, but it's just not that same particular course.
Yeah, what ends up happening at the high school, and we'll talk about this with high school scheduling, students, as you kind of matriculate through 9 to 12, you get more options for electives. Generally speaking, in 9th and 10th grade, with the core course requirements, you don't have as many elective opportunities because you're taking your PE and your health and those other electives. So generally, that's an 11th or 12th grade course that we set.
I know a ninth grader taking Accelerated Entrepreneurship.
Oh, okay.
So would they be able to get the course credits even if they're ninth grade?
Oh, yeah, they get the course credits.
Enrollment, I'm sorry, dual enrollment?
If they opt for it. That's a personal decision.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you have to get a certain degree as extra test or anything like that? Just pass the grade?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Thank you, Marty.
Any other questions? Well, Mr. Funk, could you just speak to, I know we've talked about it in the past in previous meetings, even last year. These courses are taught by Council Rock teachers.
Correct.
And just to clarify for anyone that might be listening at home, it's not a college credit if they apply for dual enrollment. That goes toward any college that the student may attend, correct?
Well, if you attended that particular college or institution offering that dual enrollment credit, then you would get that credit at that school the next year, or when you become a freshman at that institution. If you elected to go to another institution of higher learning, you may or may not get that credit transferred.
So parents and families should check that the dual enrollment and the
The
credit.
guidance counseling department helps families with that.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to clarify, because we talked about that at the pre-meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So how the AP courses that are offered in high school compare with the dual enrollment, and which one would be more beneficial for someone to take, in the sense that an AP course is probably more accepted or accepted in more institutions than the specific ones, right?
Well, we have a number of advanced placement offerings, so essentially they're governed by College Board, which is a third party to national offering. The curriculum is uniform and consistent. It's at the college level. After the completion of the AP course, students take the AP examination, and you can score anywhere from a 1 to 5 on that assessment. And then when students and their families apply to various colleges and universities, they can say, well, I received a 4, I received a 5, I received a 3. And then it's up to the individual college or university whether they would accept that credit. We have had students that have taken a number of AP courses, have done exceptionally well on the assessments, and they end up kind of starting their college or university career almost as sophomores. So in terms of cost savings, that's huge. The trend lately that we have seen is that universities are a bit more selective in awarding credit for those tests. So what used to be maybe if a college would have accepted a 3 as a passing grade and will give you credit for that, now we're seeing requirements like now you need to have a 4 or 5.
And do you have any data about the score that Cancer Rock students get in the AP classes? Do they get a lot of like 3s or 4s or 5s?
No, we do exceptionally well in the advanced placement courses. I would put us at the top of the county on that. When we receive our scores from College Board, generally speaking, 3 or above is kind of the standard. And at Council Rock North, I think we're about 96% of the test takers are 3 or above. At South, we're just slightly below, kind of 93%. So that's an area of pride for us.
I think we should advertise that.
We do.
Oh, good, thank you.
Ms. Osaki?
How does the dual enrollment program in Council Rock compare to some of our neighboring districts? Is this something that all districts are doing? Are we kind of on the beginning? Are we on the end, or no?
I think it varies, like a lot of things, like when we talk about our next topic, high school schedule, you see a lot of different things. You know, in addition to these type of programs, we also have like a college accelerated program where students, when they're seniors, could take morning classes at North or South, and then in the afternoon go to Bucks County Community College for courses. You'll have work experience co-op programs at the high school. So there's a lot of different offerings depending on your pathway.
Mr. Hecky?
Any idea how many students get involved in this dual enrollment?
That I'm going to get you that number from Mr. Applebaum.
Thank you.
They're not huge numbers.
But it doesn't cost us anything to do this
Correct.
option.
Correct. Like the cost, I would say, like I use the example, University of Iowa, we needed to train our teachers for their program. So, but it's a nominal cost. I'm good? All right, moving on to our next topic, high school schedule update. So we did have an opportunity as a larger committee to meet one time in the summer, July 30th. At that time, we reviewed, and it was actually a very enlightening experience to review the schedules of all the Bucks County high schools, most of Montgomery County in terms of their high school offerings. And then we did a little exercise to kind of whittle down that list and decide which schools we wish to visit this academic year. We ended up with 11 schools that we hope to have site visitations to this year. Some of the things that we looked at in terms of, as we were analyzing the list of schools, and as we've talked about before, there are many, many different types of high school schedules. But some of the things that intrigued us as a committee, of course, block scheduling is a topic that we've talked about before. Currently, just to recap, we have 6 instructional periods at the high school. They're 55 minutes in duration. I think by and large, people think that from a teaching and learning perspective, that 55 minutes is kind of a nice time period. It's not like the traditional 8 periods that might be more 42 minutes, which seems rather short and rushed sometimes. And it's not the block, which is the 90 minutes of 40, which sometimes can be elongated and difficult for students to be actively engaged. But the shortcomings that our committee identified in some initial meetings with our current schedule is that in terms of credit opportunities, 6 credits per year over 4 years, that's 24 credit opportunities. Whereas if you did pursue even that traditional 42, 45 minute 8 period day, you'd have 32 opportunities, and the same thing would apply with a block schedule. So the question that the committee is grappling with is, would more offerings benefit our students and our families? So those are the things that we're kind of, asking ourselves, and we want to see in person. So we want to certainly look at high schools that currently have block schedules. high schools that have recently gone to block scheduling. We want to understand some of the obstacles that they've encountered. We want to understand what prompted their thinking in exploring these different schedules. The lunch and learn or advisory period is another kind of educational trend that we've seen. So as opposed to our current schedule where we have 5 lunch periods that are 30 minutes apiece, we kind of start lunch at 10:45 at the high school and we finish at 1:15. Lunch and learns typically are just a 1 hour block of time where you might have half of the student body, and this is a simplified form I'm giving you, half the student body eating lunch and the other half of the student body seeking remediation and intervention with teachers, and then they flip-flop. So we want to see what that looks like in person with our site visitations. Advisory periods, career pathways, and senior internships. There's some folks that are doing some fairly innovative stuff with like even second semester seniors in terms of some of their work experiences or internships. So those are the schools that we're looking to see. And then we spent the second half of our meeting just developing a whole host of menu of questions. Obviously, we want to be uniform and consistent when the different committees go out to the schools, and when they come back to report to the committee at large, we want to make sure that everyone was pretty much asking the same questions. Obviously, you could have a nuanced situation where you go off script and ask your own question, but we want to make sure that we're gathering the same type of questions. So these are just some broad categories. We have about 5 or 6 individual questions below all these broader categories, but these are the type of things that we want to kind of learn more about as we go on our site visitations. Typically on a site visitation, and I went on a number of these in 2019 when we were actually exploring, you're typically going to be met by the high school principal who's going to take you in the conference room and welcome you and give you a sample schedule. Then you'll have an opportunity to ask some questions of his or her administration, the assistant principals, about, again, what prompted to look at the schedule, how are students reacting to this schedule, what was the community feedback. Then you have an opportunity to talk to the educational leaders, usually department chairs in the high school, to get kind of the teacher's perspective on what that schedule is all about. And then, of course, speaking to the students, probably the most enlightening part of these visitations, and just understanding their perspective about different schedules and what works well for them and what maybe they wish they had done differently. So we do have, of the 11 schools that we seek to visit this year, we have 5 currently scheduled. And when we reached out to these schools, one of the things they said is, you know, respectfully, Mr. Funk, let us start the school year, get our feet underneath, and then we're more than happy to have you over. And we reciprocate that type of thing at Kings Rock as well. So October 7th, we're going to visit Abington High School. October 8th will be Central Buck South. October 15th, Penridge. October 29th, Salverton. And November 12th, Truman. And I think today, yes, just this morning, we added 3 more, Pepper, Horsham, North Penn, and New Hope, Solbury. So again, we hope to have these visitations done by December, and then we're obviously going to have some presentations about that, and the committee is going to ask a lot of questions. From there, we're likely to form some subgroups that may get a little bit more granular about the high school schedule. Those subgroups could include things like how does the schedule impact the special needs population, the CTE population, are there transportation issues, a late start committee, things of that nature, to get a little bit more detail as we do the work. Question? Mr.
Tate really wants to ask a question.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll ask about cost at some point.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a premature question, I can't help it. You mentioned trends, lunch learn being a trend. Do you see other trends? Are people moving more in one direction than another? Or is it people moving both in various directions?
Yeah, I would say that the trend towards block scheduling was probably, I think that was more 5 or 6 years ago, but I think a lot of school districts have retained that block schedule. The lunch and learn is interesting because that was very hot, so to speak, 3 or 4 years ago. I've seen some schools go away from that, actually. I think like the lunch and learn, sometimes administratively having that many students at lunch in a concentrated period of time, and then even giving students some level of freedom with how they choose to use time. Like, will you go see your teacher for extra help? I think schools have grappled with that. And I think those are things that we're gonna grapple with, because all these variables, inevitably, you can point to that variable and say, wow, that's a positive, and then there's gonna be some negatives associated. Like the example of giving students some latitude and discretion within their academic day to choose to go to certain interventions or enrichment or whatever it is. That's a great thing for learning how to be an effective college or university student, because you're gonna have a lot of time that you're gonna have to, on your own, to make good quality decisions. The negative would be, if you're not ready to do that, maturity-wise, that could be a waste of time. So those are the trade-offs that we're gonna struggle with.
How many people are involved?
We have 28 on the committee.
Great.
The site visitations will have 4 to 5 folks.
Thank you.
Mr. Ike?
Quick question, and I'm not sure if it's a question going backwards or not, but when you talked about offerings, you threw out there going back to an 8 period of day with 42 minutes, which would in itself offer more opportunities and some of these interventions as well that you mentioned. Are any of these site visitations, do they have that 8 period day or?
Yes, yeah, we have one 7 period, I forget which school that was, and I believe there's one other one that is an 8 period day. So we're gonna try to see as much as we can.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was something, like you said, back in the old days when I went to school, it was an 8 period day, but that was a long time ago. So I didn't know if that was something that was archaic or that.
Yeah. I would say trend-wise, that is probably, you don't see that as much with the 8 period, 42, 45 minute, that's not as many offerings.
But there are advantages to it and disadvantages as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. And by the way, too, and I think I made this comment when we started talking about high school schedule, that we're trying to approach this process in a very unbiased manner and really let things unfold and get a lot of different input from stakeholders. And we quite possibly could end up making a committee recommendation of status quo, that the current schedule, which we've had for a number of years, continues to serve us well. So we're trying to be open-minded about the process.
There isn't, oh wait, Mr. Roosevelt, do you have a question? Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Funk, I'm glad that in your presentation, verbally, you indicated questions along the lines of what problems were you trying to solve and what goals were you trying to achieve. I think those are valuable here. It's going to be interesting to hear the answers from these schools, as well as the other questions. I think it's going to be very informative. But also, I think these are good questions that we should ask Council Rock also. And I imagine that maybe we're going to get some different answers for some of that. So thinking about that on these visits is illuminating to the point of how do you answer that when you have multiple answers that could indicate problems and solutions. So I will leave that at that, but that was my comment for this, and thanks very much for putting this together.
That's good. And I would say, like, our early conversations when we did kind of try to reflect on that, but you're absolutely right. That was just the committee's representation, but there's a lot of different perspectives. Things that we felt were important were credit opportunities. That was the rationale why we're looking at this. Are we giving our students enough credit opportunities? We were very interested in, and continue to be interested in, whether there is intervention and enrichment time that we could embed within the academic day. And we were also interested in a reduction of student stress. Those were some of the things that have come out in dialogue.
Ms. Polly?
So the 11 schools that you chose to visit, do you have schools there that they have different start times, like a later start? Because I remember when we discussed, one of the objectives of this committee was to, within that schedule, to also research the starting later and the impact that can have, on transportation, but also on the wellness of the students.
So a couple of the schools, I think I mentioned this term in an earlier education committee meeting, have what they term as soft starts. So they actually, their beginning of their day is the designated time in which students would seek additional help from teachers. And then they would start the day after that kind of intervention period took place. And the schools that we're visiting, I think Souderton and Penridge have a form of this. It's optional for students whether they attend that morning period or not. And then the entire school starts their day, if you will, at a later time, more in the 8:30 time frame. So that would be, yes, we are going to check that out.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Our current start time is?
7:33.
Thank you. Just with my notes.
15.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, cyberbullying presentations, and this is just really a continuation of some of the presentation that we've done in years past. Last year, if you recall, we asked the Bucks County Detective's Office to help us out with the presentations along with the District Attorney's Office. In years prior to that, we have had the FBI in for various presentations. And this year, Mr. Mahalik is very happy that we have elected to use the United States Secret Service to help us with the presentations. They have an outstanding program, and I'm just going to read a little bit about the program. The Childhood SMART program provides age-appropriate presentations to children K-12 as well as adults via the United States Secret Service Ambassador Program. And Mr. Mahalik, by the way, was an ambassador in this program. The Secret Service has over 200 employees who are specially trained by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to provide Childhood SMART program presentations to schools and other organizations. Presentations focus on internet and personal safety, as well as other topics such as social media etiquette and cyberbullying. So we are excited to have the Secret Service come and do these presentations. Again, this will happen throughout the course of this academic year. We have initiated the scheduling process with the principals. So we will have these assemblies at all 10 elementary schools, 2 middle schools or 2 high schools, and the Sloan School. And we're very excited about this partnership. Just to give you a sense of some of the topics that they'll cover, and this is a sample handout for tweens. Cyberbullying, don't be mean. Gossiping doesn't make you cool. Ignore, block, tell. Speak up if your friends are cyberbullying someone. It talks about sharing too much, TMI. Protect your space. Use privacy settings and don't accept just anyone as a friend. Things that we may think are common sense, but I think are very important for our young people to hear. Online predators, recognize the difference between cute and creepy. Don't just sit there, report. And who are your trusted adults? Talk to your parents and guardians about what you're doing online. They're not as bad as you think. So those are some of the topics that will be explored.
Mr. Hidalgo?
Sure. So can this program material be available to parents, since you're going to be asking the parents, the children to talk to the parents about it?
Yes, so I am working with Mr. Mahalik, and we are going to hopefully have, I don't know if we're going to be able to have a parent component at each of the schools, but what we hope to do is maybe have 2 or 3 offerings for parents, so maybe one in the elementary, one in the middle, and one in the high school.
Just something online that they could access. Okay, thank you.
Second? Kind of the same question I was gonna ask, because I know last year we had like at night a session. Is it gonna be online, or is it gonna be, will parents be invited in person for?
We hope to do it in person.
That's great.
That was gonna be my question too, 'cause, yeah, I remember last year attending, it was really informative.
And then, just one more.
Oh,
And cost, is there any cost for?
No cost.
Collaboration?
okay.
All right. Dr. Oberon.
Thank you, Mr. Funk. I want to spend a little time in the beginning just going over what our ESY program looked like this summer. This was my first year in Council Rock, kind of overseeing the ESY program, and I will tell you just the time I spent over the summer in classrooms visiting teachers, I was very impressed with the work the teachers did, seeing the students engaged and kind of maintaining those skills over the summer, which is really the purpose of ESY. Just some numbers, we had around 254 students from all 10 elementary schools that participated in ESY, and about 150 students in grades 7 through 12. That also includes the students that would be in our Achieve program. Now, the actual schedule for students varies based on the program. Some of our students are there 4 days a week all day. Some students are there 2 days a week. Some students are there only half days, 4 days a week. It really depends on the program and the needs of the students and discussions that we have. And again, focus of ESY is obviously to maintain those skills. When students return to us in September, if we're able to work with them ESY, we don't have to spend as much time kind of reteaching the skills they learned the previous school year. So that's really the overall focus of ESY. In addition to the academic piece, if you could, I'm sorry. We also try to still incorporate those social skills, the CBI training. Our classes this year were held at Richboro Elementary School, Council Rock North, and the Star Center. In addition to the academics, the students, again, it's summer, so we try to incorporate fun with the academic piece. Fun activities like visits from the ice cream truck, Northampton Fire Department. Students were able to take trips to the Star Cafe to give students a chance to practice life skills such as ordering and paying, which is part of CBI training, while connecting with older peers. And I just wanted to include this. Jamie Sager and Adam Kalachi do an outstanding job running our helping to run our ESY program. I just wanted to give them some credit because they really helped keep that moving. So. Now, the next couple of slides, I went back to our May meeting and looked at all the promises I made in terms of what I wanted to get done. So I wanted to kind of give an update on where we were with some of that. One of the first things was looking at our reading programs in our elementary schools. I know coming in there was some question as to what programs are being used. Some programs are being used in one elementary school as compared to the other. So what I was able to do over the summer with help from people in my department was really create a document. I don't know if we're able to click on this without. Are we able to click, or is that cause a problem?
No, from the document format that I have, we can't click on the links.
No.
Sorry, I didn't know there were links.
I have hard copies here I can pass out. And it's also on the website as well. It's a document that really lists from Tier 1, Tier 2 to Tier 3, all the reading interventions that are being used. So I'm confident coming into this year that every elementary school has the same programs, is using the same programs. And all teachers have been trained on those programs, not by other teachers, but by the program makers themselves. So if you look, if you're able to see the document, what you would see is, I think there's roughly 5 interventions at each elementary building. They range from Sunday System to Wilson to Read 180. And what the document would show is, why are we using this intervention? What is it targeting? What does it look like in the classroom? What would the lesson look like? How long is it? And what does progress look like? It also provides overview of the research behind it. Because what I wanted to eliminate was, guessing, or just we're going to pick this program and see if it works. There's really a scientific reason why we're choosing a program, and parents are now informed in terms of what programs we're using, why we're using them, and what that looks like. The second part was the family guide. This was something as well I put together. It basically is an outline, basically what the special education looked like in Council Rock, starting from the evaluation process to the transition process leaving high school. When you're doing something like this, it's a little tricky. This easily could have been over 100 pages, but when you're sharing it with parents, you want something that's accessible. So this is roughly 50 pages, and this is something, again, that's always open, ready to be adjusted as needed. But it pretty much gives an overview of what the programs look like, what students can expect, going through special education in Council Rock, and kind of answers a lot of their questions. That's on the website as well. The last thing I was looking to do was enhancing the website to provide more transparency. So this is something that will never be done. It's constantly being updated, as we go along. So including the reading interventions, the reading programs, what that looks like at the elementary school, along with the family services guide. In addition, this year I'm doing something with what I'm calling is the Parent Compass. It's a webinar series. So every month, and the first one this year is October 29th, is a training series for parents, if they choose to log on, and base a lot of these topics on conversations I had with parents over the summer. Parents would call me with questions, I would make a note of it, and well, this would be an interesting topic for this. So what this does over the years is this kind of creates a library on the website, information where parents can always go back to and check. So, we do 7 webinars this year, 7 next year. In a couple of years, you have a nice library of information for parents to kind of look at. So we're going to be doing that going forward this year to kind of keep that website, building the website and building information on there for parents. Coming into this school year, what we're looking at here is really spending a lot of time. I was able to, at least in the first few weeks, spend a lot of time in our elementary building kind of looking at our classrooms and programs. 2 specifically are our autistic program and emotional support. I was able to partner with Patton and the IU. They have an autism series this year, autism series training. It's 5 sessions this year. I was able to, through some begging with the IU because there was limited space, able to get 10 of our autistic support teachers in this program. So I wanted to range from elementary, middle to high school because a lot of times those teachers don't get to talk to each other. So this is a good opportunity to have program throughout K through 12 to kind of really build what that program looks like and get some training. So the hope is, and ideally, I'd like to send everybody, but it's not possible to send an entire department out for 5 days of the school year, is really have them come back and kind of work with the teams within their buildings and with the supervisor, kind of really look at what our program looks like and what it needs. And that would be the same with our emotional support program. This is a program run through Patton. So I currently have 8 members of our ES teachers, which include the teachers, the BCBAs, and our related services people kind of going out and really looking at our ES program and kind of where it stands, what our weaknesses are, what our strengths are, and what we can do to kind of build that over this year. The CPAC meetings are continuing. Our first one is October 8th. It's posted on the website along with the agenda. The first meeting really is, I'm going to ask everyone to kind of look at that family service guide I put together to get feedback from them. I think that's a good place to start. I wanted to at least go in with a structure of a document to get feedback. So at least the first CPAC meeting, I'm kind of looking for guidance and what they think, because it's for the parents, and I really want to know what they think of the language we use and if it's at least understandable and helps them out as well. Also at that first meeting, we'll be looking at the other upcoming meetings in terms of what topics we would like to discuss and any types of presentations we would like to go at. And then still going to continue working on the monthly newsletters. The first version will be coming out in about a week or 2. I'm still doing the final touches on that, but there will be a monthly newsletter coming out from Student Services that highlights things that we're doing really well in our district, as well as information for parents, information for the community, upcoming trainings, anything that would be of importance to the families. Questions? And I do have hard copies of any of this if you wanted to see them.
Mr. Hidalgo?
I'll probably say what everybody would say too. This is a great start for you. I think, going with the ESY, looking at all those classes, working on the reading program, intervention programs, and creating that family guide, and now you're going to start webinars. series, educating the kids, the parents, and then also, getting the education department with the IU. You're very busy. And the fact that you're putting that monthly newsletter together before, we've never had anything like that, so congratulations on a great start, because it's very impressive, the amount of work that you put in the last couple months. And I'm looking forward to, I'm not gonna ask you where I can find it, but I look forward to seeing these, going through the programs that you're offering and information. So it's a great start. I think people were asking for some help, and this is a good start.
Mr. Tate?
Thanks, Dr. Owen, for doing this. I really applaud what you're trying to do and what you plan to do in terms of communications, because I know from experience that there's an inexhaustible demand for more communication. So it sounds like a really good idea to build on. Thank you.
Mr. Hakim?
A couple questions. Yeah, like you said, the more information that we have, the better. I'll be curious to see, like you said, when you put down that, as far as being transparent on the website, I'll be curious to see what that actually entails, for parents. When you mentioned the CPAC meetings, are these going to be more informational, I'll say from informational or interactive?
Well, a CPAC, if you really look at what a CPAC is, it's a chance, it's committee work. So, I think in the past it was a lot of presentations. So I kept, if you look at the form, I've increased the length of the CPAC meetings to 90 minutes. So the first 45 minutes is committee work, working at tables, discussion. Like I said, the first meeting we'll be talking about that student guide. The second half of the meeting is informational. So I kind of took what, if you look at our CPAC website, what's on there, information from when the CPAC first started, what parents wanted to, what information they wanted. So it's a combination of both. The first part of the meeting is always going to be the committee talk, communication, questions, answers, things like that. And then the second part, if parents choose to stay, will be some type of informational presentation for them. The first one deals with letters, because based on the feedback from the CPAC, part of the question was about PD and what that looks like. And I know letters is a big push this year. All the teachers are being trained in it. All of our special ed teachers are being trained in it. So the second half of that first CPAC meeting will be, why is letters important? Why are our staff being trained on it? What does it look like?
And this is just something that was a follow-up that Mr. Roosevelt brought up at our board meeting, I guess, necessarily to you, but would you be open to some kind of assessment of our special ed program?
So I was going to mention this at our next, I didn't want to fill up the agenda too much. So we are actually being monitored this year. So we're actually, what they call cyclical monitoring every 6 years. So this is actually our year anyway to be, if you want to call it an audit, they call it cyclical monitoring. So basically the state comes in and kind of really reviews our IEPs, reviews our programs, reviews our processes, and then at the end of the year they give us a grade. And if there's things that we need to work on, then they provide that to us. So part of the October meeting was I was going to kind of go over specifically what that looks like, what it entails. But I'm certainly open to it. I will tell you that the state's already doing it this year.
Okay, like I said, when's that meeting again? I'm assuming it's going to come out when this first meeting is?
Well, it was part of when I was thinking about topics for the October Education Committee meeting, that was going to be part of it. Talking about what the cyclical monitoring looks like.
No. What's the date of the first CPAC meeting?
Oh, October 8th. Yeah, Wednesday.
I generally, we're advised of it. I just want to make sure that I have it written down on my calendar. Thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Hart?
Yeah, it's very impressive what you have done over these few summer months, and I don't know where to start, but one of the things we're hearing from parents was that there was not equity among schools, like not the program was offered and so on. And you mentioned that you're going to establish equity and that the teachers will be trained on all the programs?
They have been, except for Read 180, which is October 8th.
Okay, can you talk about the training and who does the training and, you know, what it involves and so on?
Sure, so, I mean, we're using Sunday System, we're using Read 180, UFly is a program we're using. So all of those, we were contacted over the summer, all of those companies came in and provided training. From those companies came in and trained whichever teachers are going to use it. Now, ideally, as we move forward, I focused this year on teachers that are using the program. Ideally, you want to get all the teachers trained on the programs, because you never know, schedules changing from one year to the next, that just because a teacher isn't using this program this year, they might be using it another year. So as we go forward, hopefully getting the teachers trained on all the programs. But my focus going into this year was no one's using a program that they haven't been trained on, or in the next few weeks will be trained on.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Roosevelt and then Ms.
Thank you. I don't know if you're going to have this answer, but it's nice to see this layout. This is a population of our community which has a variety of issues that need attendance, and I believe many of them believe that it's overdue. So I appreciate the work and the outline to demonstrate that. Do you have a planned course document for any of this? And we had a little bit of this with Ms. Garrity talking about some of the nuance. Are you participating with that, and how is that going?
In terms of if there's what we call a special education class, is there a document similar to what was shown here?
Correct.
So we have to be careful, because these reading interventions, when students get pulled out, that's not a curriculum.
Right.
So that there wouldn't be a document for that, because it's an intervention. Could be 20 minutes, could be 40 minutes. The classes you're speaking of, at least what the focus was at on, more of our secondary level, where you might have a small group social studies or a small group math class, which is a special ed class, and but we always base it on the general education curriculum to a point. We might modify it. But I am working with Tammy to kind of create those documents, so it's more clear in terms of, okay, this is American Civ 9. If we're doing a smaller version of American Civ 9 LRC class, how is that different? What does that look like? So those documents we're working with Tammy to create those, myself and the supervisors as well.
Okay, great. And do you find that would inform curriculum, or would it be more apt to say curriculum informs that document?
Well, I would say, when you're talking about special education, everyone's needs are different. So even if that curriculum, even when that curriculum document exists, it might not apply to every student in a class. So again, it's going to be somewhat modified based on the IEP in that regard.
Right.
In terms of the last page of the document, what she said about modifications, those are things I'm working with Tammy on in terms of, and the supervisors, in terms of suggestions for the teachers when those students are included. You know, because we're working to include more students, and that type of document helps the teachers in terms of, well, these are the modifications, these are some teaching suggestions for those. So that aspect our department's heavily involved in. The regular ed piece, just kind of outlining what those modifications might look like for the students that are included, as we're moving towards that.
Okay, and then the IEP, of course, would modify what has been already modified
even
further.
further, yes.
Correct, all right. So then, does the IEP then override a curriculum, or does it take the place of a curriculum?
I wouldn't say it overrides a curriculum. I wouldn't necessarily mention this in IEP, but you might see in an IEP that certain, let's just say 3-step equations, student struggles with math. Maybe in the IEP, a student will focus on 1-step equations or 2-step equations. It's modified in that sense, not necessarily bullet point curriculums, just basically how the information is taught to the student and if it's modified in any way, but it doesn't get too specific into curriculum bullet points.
Okay, because so then really every student or every parent of every student should be able to have a dialogue with the department and with the reading and the math specialists as applicable to have some measure of performance improvement or whatever. We may think about this as a curriculum and sort of regular meetings. Something like that still exists for every student in the special education program, or?
Well, correct, but again, when we look at it, if we might include a student, and let's say there's 20 bullet points that they learn in biology class. Well, again, basing students' needs, maybe they can only master 10 of them.
Right.
So they're graded on mastering those 10, not necessarily mastering all 20. It could be 5, it could be 15, it really depends. So yes, those conversations and those documents would help parents at IEP meetings, as students who might struggle with reading or math, kind of putting in the IEP in terms of what are the essential parts of this course? What do I want my child to really understand about this course? It might not be everything, but what are they really trying to get out of it?
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Hickey?
No, that's fine, thank you.
Family guy.
Mr. Becky?
Yeah, Ms. Horner, did you want to go?
I didn't see a hand, so.
Okay. I'm sorry, I thought I saw your hand.
Yeah.
I have a number of things. First of all, so many times this summer, I would think to myself, we really haven't heard from Dr. Oberman. I wonder what he's been up to. Like, I'm so glad to hear what's been happening because it's been a lot. And so I really appreciate that. I do have quite a number of questions, so I apologize. I guess the first thing, I'll go through the easy ones first, maybe. For example, the monthly parent compass meetings, I think that's terrific. And I think the idea of having webinars recorded so that they're there is just about the best idea that, anyone could come up with. I think that's terrific. In the past, we've been hesitant to record our CPAC meetings and things like that. So I wondered, is this just going to be like a voiceover of a?
Well, it's going to be live, so parents, if they want to log on, can, or they can watch it after. They can submit questions, but there's not going to be a back and forth or any type of, nothing would be confidentiality.
And that's good, because that protects, that's good. Okay, so that's an easy one, thank you. As far as the professional development that you mentioned for emotional support and autistic support through Patton, I'm wondering, you mentioned paras attending and you mentioned teachers attending, is that right?
For both the AS and ES, I have teachers, I have some paras, I have a DCBA, and I have some related services, maybe a speech, and OT, I can't remember which one, but I wanted to, anyone involved in that program, I want at least one person represented.
So my question is, I think that's great, and I know we're limited on the number of people that can go, but I was just curious that special ed supervisors weren't included in that?
He is,
Or they?
our autistic support supervisor is going.
Oh, good.
He didn't count as part of the 10 because they didn't count him, but he is part of that.
Okay, all right, well, we'll count. Okay, awesome, thank you. Regarding the increased, you mentioned that we're pushing for more inclusion, which I think is great. Can you talk a little bit more about how we're preparing gen ed teachers and administration at the different buildings to accommodate more inclusion?
Well, I mean, that does involve PD, and we're limited with PD, especially this year with letters. So, I mean, going forward, the only thing we can do is look for opportunities for UDL training. Part of my focus, I had a chance to meet all the, I did a small presentation to all our new teachers this year, quite a few of them, gen ed and regular ed.
Which teachers? I'm sorry.
Gen ed and regular ed, all our new teachers.
New
so we did the orientation. So part of my focus with them was just, reviewing, what our philosophy here is, the language we're using, making sure that, they understand that these aren't your students or my students. Regardless of a student's disability, label, they're all our students. So I wanted to start early with our new teachers to get them to buy into that mindset that, we're not dividing. Doesn't matter who you are or what your certification is, you can work with all students. In terms of moving forward, I'm not gonna lie, it is a slow process because to get PD for everybody and, in terms of UDL, you kind of slowly work through that. I'm hoping with Tammy's curriculum documents and kind of being able to give teachers accommodations and suggestions in terms of students that are included, I think will help kind of move that process along.
Great. The kind of, I don't know what to call it, but the analysis you did of the reading programs and making sure that each elementary school has the same programs. I'm wondering what the process is now. What does it look like today if a child is struggling with reading? Like how does the process work? Is there
Already identified?
No, so say somebody new, like, what is number one, what is number two, or how does, is that, I assume it's not like the parent says, hey, I want this program. The
Sure.
teacher's gonna say, this is where we start. So
So for
how does that
student,
look?
I don't know, let's say kindergarten or first grade who's not identified yet. They do, and Nicole can help, I think a little bit, they do screeners currently at that level to kind of see where the students are. A student at kindergarten or first grade level, it's hard to say they have a learning disability because they just aren't that far behind. So part of that is the MTSS process of doing, and if you looked at the reading program, you see that's tier 1 and tier 2. So tier 1 and tier 2 are mainly gen ed interventions. Tier 3 is for special education. So, with the gen ed teacher's help and the reading specialists, you have an opportunity to implement those tier 1 and tier 2 interventions prior to going to an evaluation, which we might get there anyway, but at least we try to catch the student caught with those intervention periods.
So the tier 1 and tier 2 support, that's where the literacy specialists that we approved in the budget last year, that's where those come in? Or are the literacy specialists that we approved in the budget, are they working with kids with IEPs, or are they working generally with kids who are being pulled out for tier 1 and tier 2 support?
Well, to go back to my original statement when I met with the staff, they're only working with one group. So they're gonna work with whoever needs it. Some of them are going to Wilson training, which would be a special intervention. So it's not one group or nothing. Whatever we need them for, they do that. And it's possible a special education student would be an MTSS. Like if a student just has a math disability, we don't necessarily have to diagnose them with a reading disability. We could still try interventions prior to doing that.
Okay, great. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Mackey?
Just one final one. All this stuff you just handed out on the website?
Not the webinar stuff yet. Not the webinars, everything else is.
All right, I just briefly looked at it, it's really informational. It'd be great if it was on the website.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, thank you. That's great.
I do have a couple, thank you, Dr. Oberman, and maybe next time they would move you up in the agenda, look at Ms. Crawford to say till the very end, but you mentioned the trainings that are happening in all of specifically the reading programs that happened over the summer. Now, if they're offered over the summer, was it a voluntary?
Well, they weren't offered over the summer.
Okay.
They were offered during the teacher's first week back.
Okay. Okay. So
We did offer Wilson, I think, the week before, which was voluntary, but we did have 17 people come to that. It was 3 days. But the programs themselves all took place once the teachers were back.
Okay.
And like I said, there's still one more coming up next week.
Okay. No, that's good. So then, Ms. Oseki mentioned the literacy specialists that we had budgeted and approved for this year. So at this point, we will or are in the process of having a Wilson certified or in training teacher at every elementary school, middle school.
There is a Wilson trainer at every elementary school or middle school, or someone who's in training.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. And I guess we'll talk about this in the October meeting, but with a cyclical monitoring that is happening with the state, I wanted to kind of hear about the comprehension plan that's happening and special education's place in that.
Okay.
Just moving forward.
Sure.
Another, what?
Sorry. I was just curious, and I'm not asking for it now, but I'm just curious if there are, as you work through this, and I know there's a lot to get your head around, are you setting internal goals for the department? And, is there goals for where we want to be when?
So I meet with all the supervisors. I've been meeting with them the past couple of weeks. We always said, I work with them on their goals based on their elementary, middle, or secondary. So we set our own goals based on the district's priorities. So that's part of, in terms of what they want to work on. Our emotional support supervisor might focus on building, what does our emotional support program look like, which is part of the PD training. So it's individualized based on what program the supervisor might oversee, but it's also based on the goals and priorities for what the district has set as well. And part of it could be, improving parent communication, working on inclusion opportunities for students, depending, really depends on the program itself.
Any other questions, comments? All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Oberman. You've been very busy this summer.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Save the best for last. I don't. So you heard a common theme tonight, at least I heard it when really listening, that there's a theme about student wellness and parent wellness. And how do we do that? What does that look like? There was I know this is going to sound crazy, but there's a literature, a poem that begins, "The world is too much with us." And it really is of late. So what can we do about that? So we found an organization, Josh Oakes, the gentleman on the right-hand side, he is the owner and founder, and there seems now to be a marketplace, and he quite obviously took advantage of that, to be able to supply educational entities, namely schools, with the tools they need to educate parents. So Smart Social is a tool that we hope to use predominantly with parents, but with teachers as well, to inform them as to what their children are doing online. For example, you can see some of those responsive to trends and hot topics. They produce a series of educational videos, kind of like the webinars, but a little shorter, that cover, this is just a variety. I think they have 450 of these little 20-minute videos. So what we'd like to do is provide those to parents. We'll have to roll them out in a formal setting so parents know to go there, but just keep reminding them that they're there so that parents are fully aware, pick up their child's phone. The parent owns the phone, and the parent should know what some of the apps are that are on there. And if they don't, this will help them. For example, the dusting TikTok trend used to have another name. That is the inhalation of whatever's from inhalants from canisters. So, but if a parent sees it on the child's phone, they might not know the language, they might not know the slang, they might not know what it's referring to, but these videos, this series of videos will help them understand that and stay ahead of it. It really dovetails nicely into our student wellness programs, the things that Casey and that team is doing in the classroom, because now this gives agency to the parents outside of the classroom and at home. In the bottom right, Josh Oakes, the owner, interviewed Dr. Sanko, and that's like our kickoff video. The interview itself lasted about an hour and a half, and they distilled it to about 20 minutes, and pretty much tried to get Dr. Sanko to articulate Council Rock's approach to dealing with AI, technology, and kids. And they quoted him right there, "When kids learn how to drive, parents don't hand over the keys to a car." He kind of, shepherd them through it. So this is something that we're asking the board to approve at the next board meeting. Many of the videos, not all of them, but just some are free, and we're happy to share them with you. I think those are linked inside this presentation if you were to see it, not through Matt right now. But we've looked at it, we've talked to these folks a lot, we looked at the other superintendents. So Andy is one of probably about 75 superintendents across the nation that have done this kind of thing. And what's really interesting in a good and bad way is that it's variations on a theme. Like if you're in Oregon, if you're in Washington State, if you're in Texas, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, superintendents across the country are saying, we really need to educate parents and make them our partners in helping, keep kids safe. So that's what this will help do. Actually, it's kind of innovative. We're the only school, I think, in Pennsylvania that's doing this. Pretty sure was there one other. Predominantly, these are all West Coast things. So this is kind of like we're on the East Coast, and we're one of their first out this way. But it's designed for parents. It's really designed to keep the parents informed. So it really doesn't fall into anything that's going to wind up in the classroom except when the teacher uses it. So that's the first part here. Oops. Where do I?
Before Andrea goes to that, one of the things we discussed a lot internally was, as you know, Al spoke earlier about the work he and Don are doing with the Secret Service. We had the DA's office and detectives, and we're doing all these things for the students. And we thought about how do we make that net wider and larger to help educate our parents and give them ease of access. There will be a cost associated with this. However, this gives us that platform to get the information out to the parents. And there are dozens and dozens and dozens of topics, things that we see here in Council Rock all the time. And as Andrea said, that the other superintendents that were interviewed are seeing across the country.
And this is available 24/7. So if a parent just so happens to look on their child's phone, sees an app they're concerned about, they go to Smart Social, they put it in the search bar, and there will be an informative, like, what do you do? Because that's another, what do you do if you find something that you don't like on your child's phone? How do you go about finding out how deeply your child's involved? So it's going to be out there, and I think it's a good choice. I think it's something, again, that demonstrates that we're trying to educate the parents and embrace them in this whole crazy world of artificial intelligence, which brings us to the guidelines. So we started a study team, and you probably heard me talk about this before. In 2023, we have developed a set of guidelines. The guidelines are directing teachers predominantly. There are sections in there for parents, to educate parents as to what the teachers are going to be doing in the classroom, and the kids, especially for the older kids, to let them know where the lines are that they should not cross. We did a thorough vetting of policies, administrative regulations, guidelines, federal government rules, state court rulings and decisions, and so that's how we came up with these guidelines. We rolled it out to principals at the retreat. We presented it thus far to one school staff, but we wanted to wait till this meeting before we formally roll it out to staff. So they are ready to go. Next week, MIT is visiting Council Rock because they want to talk about, we use our framework to build the guidelines. They want to see and do some data collection on exactly how well they're doing. The next thing we need to do, well, Magic School is going to be the next slide, but we remember I think that was last week or 2 weeks ago. The Magic School folks came to the meeting, you heard about her. One update on the Magic School, we have their agreement, their standard student data privacy agreement, their standard master services agreement, but Haley mentioned one thing as an aside about this opportunity to customize a data privacy agreement. So when I heard that, that piqued my interest, and I said, can I see that? So she shared one with me, and I'm sure Mr. Roosevelt was watching me the whole night. So I took this addendum, this extra customized Council Rock data privacy agreement, and I customized it for Council Rock. So what it does is Magic School comes already with pretty strong safeguards in terms of where the data is going, who's owning the data, how do you access the data, especially when the relationship ends with Magic School and Council Rock. Where does that stuff go? And I'm confident that we have ownership of it, that it is not leaving the country. I know that for a fact. and that it's what they do with it, they scrub it, it's called de-identifying it. They just take all the names off and numbers off and disassociate it with the human being. But what the addendum will do now is enforce that to the sub-processors, which are the groups that Magic School is drawing on to get their information from, such as, and I went down this list. So this is the list of sub-processors, and it includes all the cloud places where the information is, this is what Magic School uses. Vercel, they've got about 6 of them here, but it pulls its AI functionality from OpenAI, Anthropic, Perplexity, Gemini, and that's it. So those 4 LLMs is where it's pulling its data. So what this does is it puts a data privacy agreement, it applies it to them as well. They have to comply. Magic School is stipulating that they will comply with Council Rock's expectation of data privacy for students. So it's just another safeguard. So we'll see how that goes. We have to have that run by the solicitor, of course. And then last slide is Magic School, which you saw last week. This is slide
So we're moving right along with AI, and it's exciting. It's something that, we cannot bury our heads in the sand. It's here. Any questions?
Yeah.
Kate?
You said, I believe, this has all been run by the solicitor.
This agreement, it's only on this computer right now. So I took the sample that they gave me, I took out all they have division for school districts, I added, kind of replaced everything with Council Rock. And there's a few things that just don't apply to us.
Yeah, sure.
And so we'll run it by cabinet, we'll look it over a couple times, run it by IT department, and then Peter will look at it, and I just need his stamp of approval. Because once he approves it, it's already been approved by the board, but we've asked her just to hold off for a second or two until we get this customized. We'd be remiss if we didn't take advantage of that, I think, just my opinion.
Sounds great. I just wanted to hear you say out loud that it was run by the solicitor.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Everything is, so good, thank you.
Ms. Horner?
I'd asked before about, when we talked about with the AI and the Magic School, about a usage template. So it's here, AI's here, we're not getting away from it. But is there a template or something that goes between the teachers and the students on their usage, so they know what the guidelines are on?
Interestingly, Magic School has that material that teachers can share with parents.
Okay.
It's part of their whole suite of stuff that they're giving the district, that they give any district, that parents can access, we can share it directly. So we'll be sharing that with teachers to inform parents, your child's using Magic School, this is the data privacy agreement. Now, the AI guidelines are something completely different. In the AI guidelines, it specifies the tool that we're recommending teachers to use. If you're gonna use AI with student data, you've got to use Magic School. For instance, there's a teacher who wants to try a completely different Gemini product with a special services student, but wait a minute, that doesn't, you can't. At least you can't do it with the child's name in it, with any identifiable information, you can't, because that's what the guidelines are for. Because once we start making these one-offs, we're going to be right where we were 2 years ago with everybody just using whatever they want. This is going to narrow the scope. Teachers are getting trained by the tech integration specialists at every level. The tech integrators, again, they're the experts. They know this Magic School better than anyone. So when a teacher says, I'm thinking of using Perplexity to do this, the tech integrators are going to say, wait, let's see if we can get it done with Magic School first. That's the goal, which is hard to do. It's hard to do. And again, don't forget, teacher goes home and pulls up ChatGPT.
Right, and I get that with the teacher, but on the students' usage of using Magic School and making sure that they're using it and utilizing it for the curriculum and making sure that if any of their work they're doing is in the guidelines.
Okay, all right, I see what you're saying. Well, we would want parents to know first that your child's using Magic School. And they are using an AI product, and there's ramifications with that. But in terms of the teachers, it's incumbent on the teachers to follow those guidelines and enforce them. And I want to use the word enforce. I mean, they're very clear with the colored, coded, this is how you're going to use AI in this lesson.
Okay.
And when you're using Magic School, kids don't even realize that it's AI. AI is a very overused, completely mutated definition. AI is Google, it's Siri, it's GPS,
So if I could just add before you go to questions, we had we had superintendent's meeting today, so all administrators and curriculum coordinators went through Magic School training today. Administrators were informed that this is the only AI tool, and the number one reason is the privacy that Andrea spoke about. The second thing I would say, you just heard that MIT is going to be here. the county, through Dr. Hoffman, has been impressed with the work that's been done in Council Rock. And the 12 other school superintendents from across the county and some from other parts of the state will be here joining us too because of where we are as a district on this AI. We certainly don't have all the answers, but we're moving in the right direction.
Ms. Stone and then Mr. Roosevelt.
I was specifically going to ask what this meeting with MIT was going to be. You're saying it's here?
So I work with a researcher, she's a DACA candidate, her name's Daniela DiPaula, and so when I sent out that email, originally, I just went for the top, and this is the director of the Center for Artificial Intelligence in Schools. This is the think tank. So she's his doctoral assistant, and so she said, "Oh, this is great, Council Rock, just what I'm looking for." I will tell you this: there are 2 students at Council Rock South that Ms. Horner, you know who I'm talking about, Ms. Oseki, you were at that meeting. They visited her.
Oh, really?
I had no idea because one of the young men from South emailed me and asked me if I had time to sit with Ms. DiPaula and he and his brother and we could work on a research paper together. I'm like, do you know her? Oh, yes, we go to MIT every summer. So anyway, it was a neat relationship and she's young enough to be savvy with it that she kind of got where the parents were coming from and where the teachers are coming from. She's an educator herself, so she got it, and she kept saying, you've got to take it down to the values of your district. You can't start with just thou shalt and thou shalt not. So if you can come up with a value statement and build your guidelines around that, they can go left, right, up, down, you can always change it. So that's where we started. Now she's coming to give a little more illumination as to why that work is valid, because it might not seem it at first, and what I mean by that is, if you visit another school district, you may hear them say, our IT guy said or gal, we're not touching AI. It's PowerPoint.
We just had that experience.
We did have that. In fact, they'll be here. We invited them because their IT director told the school board, AI is such a big thing, we are recommending that we stay away from it. And the board said, okay. Saying that not everybody's us, but oh well. Anyway, so that's what she's coming, and she's also going to do some research. She wants to just get an opinion, did the value thing work for you, that kind of thing. That fuels her research. Not to the IRB level or anything like that where you need permissions. It won't be identified. It's just kind of like asking people in a group. And she wants to hear what the kids have to say about it too.
And the second question was, what is their connection, if any, with Magic School, or if they have experience with Magic School?
There is no connection that I know of. Magic School for-profit, ITC sale is not. Number 2, Magic School seems to come up quite frequently in terms of choices that school districts are making. It won't be the only one for long, but I think Matt will agree for now, it's probably the most secure way to get our teachers into the world of AI safely and our students as well.
So in conversations with MIT, will you be bringing up Magic School?
Oh, they know.
Oh.
They know. I mean, they've reviewed the guidelines, they've sent back edits and made suggestions, so.
Great.
Yeah.
Mr. Roosevelt?
Thank you. I'm curious to know if you got an answer from our committee meeting of what method was used to determine and prove that information only goes one way, that it doesn't creep back down into the other LLMs.
Well, if you read this agreement, if you really go in here with a fine-tooth comb, they say we cannot guarantee with 100% certainty that there won't be a breach, that there won't be a leakage of one way. But what happens when they save the data, when it goes to the server out in California somewhere, it's de-identified. So even if it was the backflow, it would do so in an unidentifiable manner. You would never know that it's Michael Roosevelt.
Right.
Student number 10175 who lives in Richboro.
Because that was a huge selling point of this program, that there's multi-levels and that the information only goes one way. It doesn't permeate back down through. So I'm still fascinated to know, is it possible, I mean, how can they make a statement like that if it hasn't really been tested or evaluated to some sort of, you know, even 99.9, I get, but just,
Well, it's,
right?
the large language models are designed to train
Yeah.
on the data they get back.
Right.
They do not allow their information to be used in the training. They just don't share it.
Okay.
That would be like me, I'm OpenAI and your manager, so hey, I'm helping you out here, I just gave you some answers, can you give me your, not, oh well. But on the other hand, you're paying me,
Yeah.
at your magic school, you're paying me for all the information I have.
Right. Matt, could you hack it? Could you hack it?
No.
Good answer.
Thank you, Matt.
I want to keep my job, so no.
So you mentioned a value statement. So what was the value statement that was worked up for Council Rock?
I can read that to you in a second. The value statement is, Council Rock is committed to building a culture where AI is used thoughtfully with safety, transparency, and student wellness being at the forefront. This framework, grounded in guidance from MIT, PDE, and other expert resources, will inform the district policy while evolving in tandem with the technology it governs.
And that's something that would evolve through time and change or, yeah, okay. Wonderful, thank you.
I'm so sorry.
I'm new to this, and I didn't know when and how.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's okay. So we are almost done with the meeting, and public comment is at the end, and I would then, okay. Thank you so much. I didn't mention that at the beginning. Any other questions? I do have one, which would be the price tag.
$30,000.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
For Magic
For
For
Smart Social?
Smart Social.
$30,000.
Okay.
And that's a full 12 months.
Okay. Before we get to, I guess we can do that and then I'll get to the end. All right, we're good here, moving.
One other question about Smart Social, thank you. How is this gonna be rolled out? You mentioned 24/7. I'm interested to know how the parents are A, gonna learn about it, and B, how do they log in to utilize it? I think that this is an interesting, it's similar to AI in some area where you're teaching your young kid to use silverware and place settings, right? You want to make sure that they do it the right way, and if they don't, maybe they learn an improper way to use forks and knives. So similar, I think that in some capacity, this serves as a translator for parents, and in other cases, it's something that maybe parents want to go to. So this is, it seems like something that you can effectively opt into to get, right? And just a quick story. When I was younger, my mother's British, so she took me and my sister over to England numerous times. And it was always fascinating to connect with my cousins of the same age and find out what their lingo was, what their trends were, and it was also vastly different. And I recently went back over to England this summer, and there are, offspring from my cousins, and it was fascinating to find out how similar they were to my kids of the same age group, and how there are kids, because of social media, that have made friends across the country and around the world, and some of their lingo, per se, or some of these challenges, or some of these other, are the same. The words that they use and all of that. And so that is interesting. So this is sort of something else that we should look at, but I appreciate the direction.
Well, to answer your question, I just heard Al make mention of that cybersecurity with parents. We'll probably fold it into that. We just needed to get it to the board first, then we'll decide. We have a full year, and we just want to roll it out to parents, remind them that it's there frequently. Teachers can use it, principals can use it, the PTA can use it if they wanted to. So, we're going to make sure that they know it's there. Mr. Hidalgo?
Sure, going off of a Smart Social, will a participant have to make an account, log in?
I believe so, a parent would, yes.
So there's a way, because after 12 months, I'd like to analyze the usage.
Oh, yeah.
And make sure that
They
it's
have-
not
They have the
VPNs.
analytics.
It's not bots using VPNs pretending to be students or whatever, or
This is only
parents.
for-
Sorry, parents. So, yeah, I would just like to know, so basically it's logins and it'll be
And those,
emails
we
and
do that on Magic School too.
whether they're
We're gonna be able to
VPN
tell.
or their actual local IP addresses, you can track all that and scrub it. Okay.
And it would be interesting to see which get more hits. You know, in case you talk about the gambling. I'm just curious, it just hit me, I was like, wow, I wonder where we're going to see these things. Parents looking for advice. I mean, I don't know, you know that feeling when you're thinking, who am I going to talk to about? Where do I even go? And that'll be their dictionary, so to speak, to at least help them understand what the problem is, and then maybe.
It sounds like you could post the links on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, definitely,
All that stuff.
definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on. And we have our, some agenda items for our next meeting, which is scheduled for October 23rd. The first one, we are looking to bring Dr. Barnes, our data analyst, back for his annual update related to PSSA, Keystone, and AP results for 2025. However, we do want to mention that there are times, certain years, where that data is not available to us fully in October, so there is a possibility we may push that particular agenda item to the November meeting. So we'll be sure to update everyone. There's a lot of great work which has been mentioned this evening related to structured literacy, MTSS, and so we're really excited to share an update at our next meeting, as well as bringing Ms. Tammy Gary back to discuss the assessment calendar for this school year. And we'll have an update related to our comprehensive planning process that is well underway. MBIT update, and then we will have, as Dr. Oberman referenced earlier, an update related to special education cyclical monitoring. So we're looking forward to next month. Thank you.
Just before I move to public comment, there's a lot of topics, great conversation. For consent items, so we have the full-day kindergarten curriculum approval, item B, the wellness program at $26,000, D, and the smart social, item I, $30,000. Are we good with those moving to consent agenda items?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Okay, is there specifics? You want them,
We can move through things relatively quickly, even if we go through them.
right, so you don't want it, so it's not consent?
Right, I agree.
Okay.
I think some of them bear a little bit more conversation or discussion / deliberation.
Okay, so non-consent. For all of them?
Sure, well, we can sort outside of the meeting as well. Or I can bring it up during the meeting if you prefer. I mean, whatever.
All right, so it seems like it's non-consent then, for all the items.
You
Three.
want all 3 items not to be in consent.
Sure.
Okay.
So
I think that you could benefit from just further discussion, not necessarily indicating I'm not supporting of one or all, I'm just indicating I think that I'd like a little bit more time to look at it.
Okay. Mrs. Becky?
Are the family services guides still going around? I didn't get one.
I'm sorry, I only, because it was so thick, I made 5 just to share.
Oh, okay.
It is on the website.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, the paper.
I do have another comment.
Very
As long as you're going through agenda items.
No, I'll be like.
At the last board meeting, I brought up the concept of an educational audit. We touched on it briefly in this meeting about from an educational standpoint, a cyclical review. But there was at least 3, maybe 4 of us at that meeting that supported it. We didn't have it on the agenda, which is fine. That's something else I'm asking. Does anybody object to that being a further discussion point? To hear a little bit more from administration and for the 9 of us to discuss the concept of an educational audit. Does anybody object to that?
Can I suggest that we wait until we get PSA's, all those scores, and then discuss it at that time.
Well,
So we have-
I'm not saying that we put it on the agenda to vote. I'm saying put it on the agenda for discussion piece and utilize that either at the next education committee meeting or perhaps the next board meeting. And I think it's a great suggestion that incorporate the PSSA and the Keystone data with it. Yeah, absolutely.
Then we can talk about whether we want to.
I guess I just wanted to clarify, for the educational audit, what do you mean by that specifically?
Well, that's exactly what I want to talk about.
Okay, so I guess
The
this is
concept of a
something,
third party coming in to figure out what Council Rock does really well and what we can improve upon so that Council Rock can continue to shine.
okay, so I've noted that in my notes. Yes, Mr. Tate?
Are we talking about education committee agenda or board meeting agenda?
Either one, I think it's a good point to just have a further conversation.
Yeah, and I think it's a good idea. I think it ought to start at education committee.
No problem.
Yeah, okay.
So there's no objections.
And then you all can figure out when's the best time.
Yes. Yeah, I can't make promises for the next one, but I can definitely put it on the radar for administration as we discussed. I know they have it, but obviously when I have my pre-meeting. I
So
will
when we have the
bring up your
next
concerns.
pre-meeting, that would be the best time to discuss and try to figure out what it really means. And, try to figure out how the administration thinks about that, what are the possibilities and so on.
Yeah, even if it's a discussion item.
Just start it as a discussion item.
Sure.
I think the sooner we can get on that as a discussion item, the better. But whatever administration is ready for.
Okay. All right, we are now at the public comments. If you would please keep your public comment to 3 minutes. Please state your name and township, and I am going to just set a timer, just to have a gauge, and I'll just kind of give you like a 30-second warning. If you would please state your name and township, please.
Sure, my name is Susan Day, I'm in Wrightstown Township, and my comments are actually questions. So I have gone back to the high school scheduling discussion. On that, will there be a discussion around the impact of different schedules on scores, postgraduate acceptances? And back in my day, there were issues around some of the block scheduling and whether or not it aligned to performance on AP exams. So those are just questions I have around that. Regarding AI, I have some very larger concerns, having been exposed to this at the collegiate level and some of the issues that are going on there, and some of the issues that we're trying to grapple with as well. And I believe you mentioned it was your mission statement around AI. I didn't notice in there this listed high cause for concern. At the collegiate level, I'm hearing a lot about mastery of a subject, and there's a concern that students are utilizing AI and they're not necessarily mastering the subject information. And I just have a question as to how that fits into it. Secondly, AI is more than just a large language model, and there are still concerns of the accuracy of what it represents. And in that, I don't know where in the Magic School or elsewhere, AI, like the gentleman pointed out, is like silverware. How do I know that I'm using the right fork for the right dish? And just understanding that it is a tool, it is not gospel and or truth. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Okay.
Daniel Houston, North Haven Township. I just want to thank Dr. Oberman because I've been to many of these meetings, and I do think you're going trending in a better direction with special education. I was really upset that Amanda Serene wasn't here tonight. I've sat through a bunch of these education committee meetings, and Tamara Berry comes up here and she, like Tracy said, beautiful presentations on all the curriculum. I would love, this is the first time I've ever seen in writing any curriculum offered to my children. I would love for someone to go through that with me and to show me what that looks like and to present it to the public like they present general education curriculum. There's no math on this. It's a lot of reading and I'm thankful, but there's no math. So I don't know how progress is going to be tracked. I know Mr. Roosevelt brought up, the question of the IEP and the curriculum and where, what comes what. And in my own personal experience, it's been hard. I find that my IEP gets more specific every time because I have to make sure that my kids are getting curriculum. My kids are in 3rd grade, they've never brought home a book, they've never brought home a workbook, they don't even have pencils on their school supply list. So again, I'm grateful and I think that Dr. Overman has put a ton of work in, but there's still a lot of questions. So hopefully next education committee meeting, maybe Mrs. Suri can go over some of our curriculum options now that there are finally options. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicole Gilchrist from Newtown Township. I also want to thank the committee and Dr. Overman because I know this wasn't ever, I was never able to come and make public comment on education, on special education because it was never discussed. So I do know we've come far. I would ask that the school board and the administration give now Dr. Overman's special education the same time and value that they've given full day kindergarten, that they're giving high school programming. I'm hearing, and I appreciate these things, when I'm hearing there's a committee on the high school scheduling and they're visiting 11 schools. I've heard similar things for full day kindergarten. We need that same energy and we need the same amount of time and intention devoted to special education. Regarding the cyclical monitoring, I'm happy to see it's on the agenda. I also know that I'm sure this will be discussed, cyclical monitoring happens every 6 years. Council Rock was then done 6 years ago. 6 years ago, we were putting corrective action because our indicator 5 for inclusion was well below state target and state average. Well, guess what? It never came up. So we were in corrective action. We were taken out of corrective action 6 years ago when we were cyclical monitoring. We're going to be monitored again. No doubt we will be put in corrective action for indicator 5 for inclusion because for the past 10 years, we've been below state target and state average. But if the will is not there to make an improvement the same way 6 years ago, we did worse last year than we did the year we were put in corrective action 6 years ago. So if the will's not there to give Dr. Overman, to give everybody what they need to truly put a plan in place to improve it, it will be yet another exercise in useless information. I have the cyclical plan from 6 years ago. There is zero data to show us that corrective action plan did a single thing. So I think when we come together next month, an education committee to talk about cyclical monitoring, to talk about, data. I hope that we have some data on special education to discuss because it's out there. The state puts all the information on their website. And I hope that we can have a meaningful discussion to devoting the time and resources to our 1,700 kids receiving special education that we've done for other projects. So thank you for what you've done so far. I'm grateful that we keep going.
Thank you. Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.